game changers.
It's about competition, pure happiness.
It's like a crazy experience.
We're making history.
It means so much to us.
It's good to be back.
I guess we know what I've been looking for, success.
The beauty of gaming is it doesn't matter who you are. And as long as I'm good enough,
Everybody's getting a 4K!
I can go as far as I want.
That's what I like to see, baby!
全世界都会知道我们的厉害。
sentimento é que, mesmo que seja um passo, a gente só tá pensando realmente no adversário que a gente vai enfrentar, dar o nosso 100% ali contra aquele time, pegar pra ver qual vai ser o playstyle, como a gente pode jogar melhor contra eles, porque o que a gente quer é sair campeão desse campeonato.
O PX tá bem posicionado, hein? Mais uma vez nessa posição. Vem mais um, ele já viu. Bora, PX!
E, cara, é muito legal quando você ganha um mapa ali, você vê a torcida levantando, arrepia realmente, porque é uma paixão que só o brasileiro tem.
Tá todo mundo de costas pra ele. Bora, Havok. Pega o primeiro, segundo, terceiro! Meu Deus! Havok! Sensacional!
Cara, a Solid é algo único, é algo que você não vai ver em nenhum outro time do mundo. Tem muita gente que critica, tem muito hater, mas no final tá todo mundo ali dando a vida, todo mundo representando o Brasil ao máximo, dando sangue dentro do servidor. E isso você não vai encontrar em nenhum outro time do mundo.
O Ganizerra tá no céu, sabe disso, tentou puxar essa mira. Tem uma bala na Odin, mas aí acabou não conseguindo finalizar, ainda assim GMD. Olha o estrago que ele faz!
I mean, yeah, definitely. It's not the same thing, but historically, teams that, get to play more often do better. So, I'm glad we just get another chance to keep playing. I love playing with my guys. So, I mean, like whether we won this match or we didn't win this match against Envy, I think we're very happy and we're very ready.
O spray saiu correndo! Ace do Boy!
I think Team Solid has honestly really good individual talent. Obviously, they have their star duelist DGs in and have had an unreal series against Winthrop. So they're definitely be a tough opponent. I mean, we take every team very seriously. Every team is kind of the same to us. We're going to try our best to beat them.
Timotino consegue vir cobrar os 3 abates! Timotino, moleque maluco!
Bom, na próxima partida, eu acho que a gente pode ter um bom estilo de jogo contra a TSM, a gente pode se dar bem contra eles.
I mean, I just hope we have a really good game.
Welcome everyone to VCT Ascension Americas. Today, 2 teams going to be battling it out. 1 eliminated, 1 to be moving on into the grand finals with a date with Envy. It has been an amazing competition so far. Dan, I cannot believe that we're to this point of this competition already. 3 teams left, 1 going to VCT Americas.
Yeah, it's been really insane to watch this tournament. We talked about it from the beginning, where we didn't really know what to expect. And as we move forward, we had a lot of rematches, like we got the chance to see yesterday, and a few upsets as well. A TSM that came yesterday as that favorite team that had won back against Envy. We thought they were going to do it again, but Envy, they moved to the grand finals first. And so it's a very good example of how for this Ascension, you never really know what to expect.
You really don't. I mean, the teams have just been battling their hearts out in Brazil, and it's made this bracket so exciting. Ash, it was heartbreaking yesterday because we did say goodbye to one of our teams. It was Winthrop University to take the loss to Team Solid. And yeah, we say goodbye to our collegiate friends there, but that means Team Solid gets to live to see another day. But TSM ahead, this is going to be a great best of 5.
It definitely is. Team Solid, I think, really showed up, and their experience showed up in spades in that Winthrop University matchup. Like, looking back at that corrode and how it ended in those last couple of rounds was just so insane coming out from Team Solid. Very incredible performance from Havoc throughout the entire series, but now going up at TSM, where these 2 teams have managed to dodge each other throughout the Swiss stage, throughout the bracket so far. But they've also gotten the chance to see them play up against some of these other teams, right? In TSM, we just heard from Seven about how they go and look at every single team kind of like the same. They're really focused on playing their own game, and I think that's always been the conversation when we've heard from the players for the majority of events, right? Is just really being able to like focus in on yourselves, not like overthinking that match or anything like that. And I would imagine that the approach is going to be very similar from the side of Team Solid. It's just that one step at a time.
I love that you call out that we haven't seen these two teams play against each other yet, because in a tournament where there's not too many teams that have made their way here and we've gotten to see a lot of rematches and a lot of learning, the fact that these two teams, this is a fresh matchup, not only that, but when it's the best of 5 lower finals is so exciting. And looking at the matchup for today with Team Solid and TSM, it's a matchup that frankly we have been robbed of up until this point, because I think that Team Solid throughout this tournament have been absolutely phenomenal. You have gotten to see this ramp up in their gameplay, but TSM, if you're talking about ramp up as well, Dan, it's a team that definitely has been looking so strong. And I think that's going to make it really interesting in a best of 5 how it's going to pan out.
Absolutely. Every single one of the players that we've had for TSM had incredible moments throughout this ascension. And especially in that lower bracket, I feel like this is the kind of situation where they want to be under pressure, knowing that they need to win this best of 5 to move into the grand final, to still have a chance to move to VCT Americas. All of the players have gotten a few different ways of experience throughout their careers, but it feels like the one that has been the most valuable is the last few matches that they've got to play. Even that last match that they played against MV just yesterday, that one match that they lost, it was maybe the last little detail that they needed to now perfect that game that they have, perfect a little bit of that macro that they have to go into that series against Solid today.
It kind of calls back to just the way that we've described TSM, I think, for the last couple of years within that core of GMD and 7. It feels like the TSM squad, no matter what iteration it is, they're always this team that's able to perform so well when their backs are up against the wall. And I think that's what makes this lower final so exciting between them and Team Solid. On the Team Solid side, though, we also saw, the crowd behind them. But talking a little bit more about TSM, I feel like every single one of these players has been stepping up to the plate. They've all had those insane pop-off moments. We've seen the growth as well when it comes down to the calling, how the mid-rounding is going, the macro plays from this team, and the depth that Seven's also been able to provide in that kind of regard, with them being able to switch up the way that they're approaching a lot of those maps because of his flexibility.
The fact that Seven was talking about the individual prowess on the side of Team Solid, I mean, super valid point, right? But TSM has that as well, but you don't know, like, it could be any player in a match. I think the consistency across the board for this team, Dan, has been really impressive, and we've gotten to see throughout the competition that there has been a barrage of different players to have those standout performances just when TSM needs them, which has made their run just so much more impressive.
Absolutely. Is a team that, as we mentioned before, individually are incredible, and even when it comes down to how they want to play these maps, how they want to approach each one of these series, it is really cool. And I feel like one of the biggest highlights for that especially is Vora in this IGLing role. He has been amazing. He has some amazing calls that have allowed him in the past to get a few of these wins, on top of that being the best fragging IGL that we have in Ascension right now. I mean, you talk about Rafa and how he also kind of puts up a fight as well, but I feel like no one really comes as close as Vora. He is really good at closing the maps, as we saw just a few days ago. He's really good at when things are going wrong, how are we going to switch up the pace. TSM is a team that is willing to make the plays a bit faster, go for those 5-man hits, go for this 4-1s if it's necessary, if things are not going wrong. And that is the way that they find an answer against any of the teams that they played so far, and potentially against Team Solid today.
Vora has just continued to impress on this roster ever since the beginning of the year. I mean, to go on to a team like TSM and instantly be picking up the IGL role, they saw something in him, and it was just so well deserved. Throughout this competition, it has been just a constant level up from Vora, and I think too the growth we've seen throughout the year, Ash, has been really nice. Whether it's in the mechanicals or just that calling, Vora can just do it all.
He absolutely can. I feel like something that we don't even give it that much of a nod to sometimes on our broadcast are also like the coaching staff. On the side of TSM, you've got NBS, a former championship winner there for Ascend back in 2021, being able to help Vora within that development. And we've really seen the experience that he's been able to bring to the table as far as helping him coach him through that new role that he was picking up with the calling throughout this year, and then continuing to add those additional layers as the competition has deepened. I'm really excited to see what they're going to be bringing to the table for a TSM that for GMD and 7, they're trying to make it through Ascension. Their run fell short last time around up against a team that in Team Solid, they have all of that experience in Tier 1 backing them.
I mean, you have the core of TSM, you have their early pickup in Vora, and also the two latest pickups in Alvin Boy and Timotino. And Timotino has just been lights out in Ascension so far. Again, you get into the server, and Timotino Dan just seems to never disappoint. It's a person that we had talked about highly throughout the year, and to see him now on this stage, putting up the numbers that he does is so nice.
He has been insane, and we just keep talking about him because he is just the greatest player that we have in Ascension right now, not only in stats, but the way that you see him play, how good he is mechanically. We don't have a player like this in North America quite the way that Timotino is. Nobody really compares to a few of the things that he's doing, for example, on the Jet and on the Raze as well, as you get to see in the map of Lotus. He is so good, and it's not only, you know, that setup that we talked about with other teams of, yeah, everybody's setting him up for success, but is sometimes he just has to dash in, he has to create that space, gets the opening, and he does it more often than not. It's so cool to see a player that is so young, so sweet, and also so incredibly talented.
Yeah, the most impressive thing being the consistency with what Dan was talking about there. The fact that he's able to have those moments just over and over again. And it feels like this Timotino, like we saw how good he was throughout VCL, right? We knew the talent that he had, but when it came down to actually seeing him on LAN, I feel like the experience that he's had, like running pugs and whatnot during other LAN events is really coming to light. He's one of those LANimals where when he's on stage, it feels like he's a completely different beast.
Yeah, and I know Timotino maybe not the most happy with his performance yesterday. He tweeted out a little bit about it, but considering that was his worst performance, which was still pretty darn good, I'm excited to see that bounce back today, because Timotino, again, has just been lights out this entire tournament. Even if it was a tough loss yesterday, TSM, they had good mental. They've talked about that a lot and should be able to reset coming into today. But talking about that match yesterday, we had the opportunity to hear from Seven a few words about that previous matchup.
Well, I think, you know, we beat Envy a couple of times already. I think this time they definitely had our number on us. I think we had, honestly, a weak game plan. I think we knew how they play. We just didn't really come up with, like, I'd say the correct solutions. You know, we played our heart out, we give our best, but I think that if we do have to reface them again, we're going to need to come in with a stronger game plan, just a more refined communications, more refined team play, and just overall better everything.
I mean, talking about how often they've played up against Envy, but fresh opponents on the opposing end today here in the lower finals, looking at Team Solid. And Team Solid, again, has been one of these teams that has continued to impress throughout the tournament, is one where, I mean, maybe it's a little slow to ramp up at the beginning, but once you got these players in the server, again, Dan, Seven had talked about that individual prowess on the side of Team Solid, and yeah, these players have been amazing to watch.
They have been incredible and definitely an underrated team coming into this event. It might have been because when we watched the Plains, or the first team that got eliminated from the Plains was the Brazilian squad, so we were kind of questioning that level that the region was going to show us this time around. But the ones that have been saving it over and over again has been the side of Team Solid. We talk about how every single one of these players have tier 1 experience. They have been part of VCT Americas, they have been part of Furia, of Loud, and just this mix of all of the players together, it seems like it finally clicked for a team that was maybe, or individual players that was struggling a little bit. The fact that they decided to come all together to play in tier 2, to play in Ascension, and not only that, but also doing it the best that they've ever done potentially in their careers. It has been so fun to watch. I love watching how they're problem solving in a few of these rounds, because yeah, we talk about DG Sin, but everybody else has been kind of doing one extra step to make sure that they win these rounds and these matches.
It's like you can really feel how hungry these players are to get back to that tier 1 stage in VCT Americas, how their story isn't over yet, and they're really clawing their way up through that competition, especially with the home crowd behind them. We've had so many interviews with their loved ones there as well, and you've also seen like the major difference, I think, that energy from the crowd has made here for Team Solid. And there are so many players who I feel like they're all just so good at hyping each other up as well. Like my main thoughts go over to like Conan and PXS when Havoc hit that clutch. Like PXS was out of his seat. He was dapping him up. He was out of his seat. Like he was so hyped just knowing that was that win there up against Winthrop University, that had put that in the bag. And the Conan's always there shouting on stage. Like, yes, we've talked so much, I think, about the individual skills for all of these players, but that difference in being able to bring that energy to the stage when you might be like down a couple rounds or you feel the map slipping away is all of the difference. It can be the biggest difference maker at times there in a match like today.
I think earlier on in the tournament where we really got to see that energy really start, kind of like that match to ignite the fire, was DGZ, because going into this, it was someone that right away caught our eye and attention, Dan. I mean, for good reason. I mean, the prestige and experience of this player is insane, and he made it known as soon as he hit the server.
Whether it was in Furia, in Loud, or now in Team Solid, DGZ is just an incredible player, and he continues to be, is one of the few players that throughout the years has been able to keep this level on the duelist role, and he is just incredible. You look at the matches that they've won so far against Shinden, against Winthrop, and against Winthrop once again yesterday, and DGZ is sending plus 20, plus 23, plus 18 in all of those matches. The only time where he was not ending positive, and you know, by such a big advantage, was that series that he lost against MB, but that really showcases how much of an impact that he has in this series in finding the openings for the team, in allowing them to make sure that they're able to win it. And it's not to say that Team Solid is relying on DGZ, because we just talked about all the other pieces that have worked together, whether it is energy wise or whether it is in some of the clutches that they've been in some of the plays that they've getting. But DGZ is a key piece of the success that they've had and is going to be a key piece for success today.
Player you can never count out either. I mean, some of the Sheriff shots he's hit, not even just an individual Sheriff shot, but getting a 3K with the Sheriff in rounds that Team Solid have no business getting kills on is just incredible. Like, mechanically, he has just been top of the game. And if that's the performance we're seeing from DGZ today, which I have no reason to believe that's not the case, then TSM definitely have a demon on their hands to deal with. But even if that was the match to ignite the fire, the rest of the team has really stepped up, especially as late. Because next, talking about Havoc, Ash, you talked about that performance yesterday, and it was crazy. The 6K, the 3K clutch, the 4K to close out the game. Like, Havoc was something else.
He is such an incredibly talented player, splitting between being that secondary duelist or the Sentinel. There is no fall off in performance between those roles, and he's always able to maintain that composure, being cool, calm, and collected in those moments, those clutches that you were talking about there. It's just so impressive. I feel like a lot of those like decision-making plays are going kind of under the radar sometimes from Havoc. Like the way that he used that flash in that 1v3 to like bait out the fact that the entirety of Winthrop were going to be expecting him to actually swing from yard on Corrode is just one of those small moments that you can talk about. And then you put him on the duelist and he's having those flashy plays, having insane synergy alongside PXS when he's on that fade and that raise combination. It's always beautiful micro that we're seeing coming out.
I really like the story that Havoc has had so far. I mean, looking at what happened last year, everybody was talking about him before he got picked up by Furia as this one insane rookie player that was coming to VCT Americas, and they didn't really know quite what he was going to be playing. But once he was part of Furia, he was definitely struggling a little bit. He was not really finding himself. The team was not finding themselves. They had a lot of issues external to that. But now in this team, it feels like now he's finally comfortable. He's finally showing us what we got to see last year and before when he was part of the union, when he was playing for Brazilian challengers and stepping it up, like you're saying, Ash, whether it's going to be in this double duelist that fits him really well, or is it going to be on that Sentinel when he has to be either anchoring those sides or finding those answers when things start to go wrong a little bit for the team.
And a comfortable Team Solid making their way through this lower bracket. I mean, it has been a crazy journey to watch. Their match yesterday also was, and after that, we had some words from PXS about their match.
Cara, foi uma experiência insana. Eu achei que pô, a torcida já estava grande ali nos dias ali das fases suíça, mas agora nos playoffs realmente representou muito. Foi algo realmente surreal e eu sou muito grato por ter vivido isso. Foi muito animal, sério mesmo. Agradecer a todo mundo que torceu, inclusive, aí, teve aí. E acho que foi uma partida difícil, a gente entrou um pouquinho frio por conta do jogo ontem, talvez contra a Envy, que saiu da nossa mão, né, o resultado. E aí hoje a gente entrou um pouco frio realmente, mas a gente conseguiu trazer energia com a ajuda também do público, com certeza, e entrar melhor pro segundo e pro terceiro mapa.
I mean, talking about the crowd, I mean, if you did not watch yesterday's matches, the crowd was just going crazy. They were so loud. They were so passionate. I mean, really coming out to support Team Solid in all of this. So it seems like with the momentum they got, the crowd on their side, they're in store for a storytale run. But before we get into the matchup, there is still one more head-to-head that we had to look out for. Ash, two different makers that we've gotten to see in this server. 7 on one end. We cannot go through a pre-show and not talk about 7. But Conan as well talked about it in the individual, like on the roster page. And again, the step-up he's had as well has been instrumental.
It absolutely has. And I think highlighting these two players because they've been the two to add a little bit more of that flexibility into that role for these compositions, right? For 7, he's also turned into a little bit of that Sage specialist throughout the entirety of Ascension, being so creative with how he's using those walls to either funnel his opponents right into the crosshairs or a different kind of trap play, or to get a little bit more aggressive, take a bit more of an upper angle. But both of these players, although they shine so much in that supporting realm, they also have these insane impact moments. Like, there have been a lot of maps where we see Conan on that Viper being the major difference maker when it comes down to the timings that he has for his utility, helping that not either net kills or be able to like really open up some sort of pivot or rotation for the rest of his team. They are playmakers where they know how to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more disciplined in some rounds, but also have the timing to pick the perfect moment to get a little bit more aggressive, take their opponents off guard, and also be those heroes.
And 7 has just been a hero throughout. I mean, talking back about the Sage and how often we've seen that, the impact he's been able to make on the Sage has also just led to the fact it's always been like a 5v6. I mean, he has res every second round, it feels like. A little bit of an exaggeration, but it doesn't feel like one when you're watching them play. And 7 himself has just been lights out. And Big Mental talking about just one game at a time. A best of 5 ahead of us now. Two very, very capable teams. And getting into our predictions for today. These are so tough every single time because these matches have always been so close. But of course, I got to go with the team, Dan, that we have watched all year, TSM and the growth they've had. You're with me, so I feel like I can't go wrong.
Well, I've definitely been wrong a few times in Ascension.
Man.
But it's okay. It's okay. We can start. I'm pretty confident in TSM. To be fair, that doesn't mean that I'm underestimating Team Solid. I feel like they can absolutely take this series, especially depending on how the maps are going to go and also how strong they're going to start for the side of Team Solid. But for TSM, like you said, the growth that they had throughout the year, how good they look individually, and also the fact that they lost yesterday, I don't really see it as a problem. I don't see it as a recent issue that is going to arise today, but also more than anything as a learning lesson of things that they can do a little bit better today against Solid.
I feel like more often than not, I start off this prediction segment by just telling everybody how I've been crashing out about having to pick between these two teams for our matches. And it's no different today. But I think that just also says so much about how close the competition has been. Dan was touching on it earlier. It feels like you really cannot expect how these matches are going to be playing out at times. I had to lean towards Team Solid for this, though. Much love to the TSM boys, but seeing that crowd behind them, I feel like that makes it a little bit more of an uphill battle for TSM. They kind of have to block out that extra noise playing up against the Brazilian team, the only Brazilian team that made it through the playoffs here for Ascension. And we saw the energy, not just from the players, from their loved ones. I feel like they have just so much to prove. And we've seen, I think, just how much hungrier they've gotten to continue their run throughout Ascension as the stage has gone on.
If this was a best of 3, I think I would be predicting Team Solid here. I'm not gonna lie, but with the best of 5 lower finals ahead of us and being able to see the bounce back that TSM has been able to have, just hearing their mentals and everything else, I feel like even if they get out on that stage and the crowd's a little much from the get-go, throughout a 5-map series, they should be able to bounce back. I do think, again, I mean, Ash, you're talking about having to crush out every single time you predict. Yeah, I feel you there, right? So I think this is a really, really close one. I think all the matches have been really, really close. And I think, too, that regardless of what outcome we're about to see, it is about to be an absolute giga banger on this stage. Reminder, everybody, this is the lower finals. This is elimination. And this is the opportunity to play in the grand finals up against Team Envy. And a match that, too, when you've gotten to see this firepower of Timotino on one end, you get a DG Zine on the other, Dan, you know that you're in for some great Valorant.
It's going to be so good. And as we mentioned before, it is incredible that we've had so far so many rematches for a lot of the teams, but yet we haven't had this match between TSM and Team Solid just yet. So we've been talking about how Timotino and DG Sin, they're number 1 and number 2 in stats. They go back and forth between the two. You never know who's going to be coming up on top, but they haven't had the chance to actually go against each other. And it's a big difference as well, because they both had their very unique playstyles. They're able to take over those series as well. But I think there's some key differences as well in the way that they're going to be playing these attack sides on the maps when you get the chance to see them. That could really determine who's the better duelist in this series.
Speaking of the maps too, I don't think we even touched on the point that TSM does have that advantage in being able to pick out those bans to kick off the series, right? So they get to start a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more in control of that map veto. And both these teams have also been able to hide 2 maps each heading into this lower finals matchup. For the side of TSM, we haven't seen Bind or Corrode from them throughout Ascension. And for the side of Team Solid, we haven't seen Abyss or Haven. So total opposites in that regard. I'm really excited to see what we're going to be having come into the pool, right? For TSM, they have an opportunity to ban out one or both of those unknowns.
Getting into the stage, something we keep talking about is just this crowd, how crazy it is, and everyone showing up full force today ahead of today's matchup. The players, I mean, the first matchup, again, just watching each other from afar, knowing that there's a strong opponent on the opposing end. Again, once we get into the maps, I think we're going to see an insane energy from the get-go, and of course, an energy that we've just seen brewing in Team Solid with this hometown advantage. So Dan, we're going to have a great matchup ahead, and I cannot wait.
It is absolutely a series that I expect to go all 5 maps, no matter what. But I do think the team that has to have the strongest start, to me, it has to be Team Solid, because we've seen TSM, whether it's a few rounds, a few maps, having to come back and just making it seem, very easy, very seamless. But for Team Solid, having a strong start, making sure that DG Sin is comfortable, he's feeling himself on stage, is also having that crowd on his side, yelling and shouting for every single round is going to be a crucial step to make sure that Team Solid, if anything, are going to get the win at the end. And it would be a dream for them moving to the grand finals. It would be now the 2nd year in a row that we would have a North American versus a Brazilian team in the grand finals for Ascension. Obviously, remembering that run that 2G had last year. The only difference is that 2G, they came from the upper bracket, while Amadi was in the lower bracket. So in the meantime, right now, you have an Envy that is chilling, waiting, watching this game probably, and waiting to see if it's going to be that Brazilian squad that they had to face before, or if it's going to be that enemy that they know so well in TSM.
And the fact that TSM is here in this lower bracket might be a little bit of a surprise. It was a TSM that's been looking so strong, so dominant throughout, in a close map up against Envy. They have an extra step to take if they want to find themselves into that grand final. As we called, it is a best of 5, and getting into the map picks and bans. First one, Dan, it's going to be Sunset up in the series.
Yeah, this is Ash was talking a little bit about the map bans here. This is the 2nd time that TSM bans this map of Corrode. First, they have been been banning the map of Bind that you see is going to be that decider. So I'm excited to see if we're going to go over there. And on the other side, you have been seeing a little bit more of this ban instead. But Sunset is a perfect way to start. It's a perfect showcase of how both the teams like to play, and it is exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to be seeing the differences of how they want to approach this attack side early on, and I don't know. I feel like depending on how close this first map is, it can really determine how everything else can go.
100%. I trolled a little bit earlier on saying that TSM did have that double ban, and it's no surprise that Abyss does come out there for Team Solid. It's been their promo ban throughout the entirety of Ascension, and Dan talking about that last map in Bind, I feel like it's no surprise to see that as the decider. It's been such a good map throughout the entirety of VCL for TSM. They've been really creative on it. I think when you look at how this veto has panned out, though, it is pretty comfortable for both teams. Now, heading into this agent select here, we have no adjustments from either end. I don't think anyone would have expected that either this deep into the competition. I feel like for the side of Team Solid, with them starting out on the attack first, I've definitely got my eyes on how they're going to be approaching that early round with the double Sentinel on the side of TSM. You want to be dealing with some of that Sentinel utility a little early on, try to pull some of those slows out from 7 so you can't save them into the mid round and really slow down that execution.
Both of these teams have played this map of Sunset only one time. For the side of Team Solid, you got to see against Winthrop University, and they absolutely dominated on the defensive side. But for TSM, when they played against Envy, it was a bit of that same story. They won it 13-5, and starting on the defense as well. So both of them being really good at the defense is going to mean that for Team Solid, I want to see a little bit more of what they are able to do on the attack side. Last time, they won the pistol round, and there were 2-3 more rounds that we got the chance to see from them. But this time around, when there's a 7 that is going to be slowing you down, is going to wall as well, is going to have a Team Latino that is trying to create that delay for how fast Team Solid want to play, there might be a little bit of a challenge to start them off.
So many different people that have stepped up throughout this tournament, and now going into the very first map of the series, it's time to see how everyone's faring on the day. Who's going to be taking the first map in this best of 5 lower finals? It's time to head into Sunset and find out with your casters, Van Silly and Lemon Kiwi.
Thank you, Sierra. Team Solid or Team Solo mid. The desk is split, but the crowd is behind Brazil as they hope to return to VCT. While TSM fans, such a young team, they've been grinding for years for Ascension, and this is their best shot.
Definitely going to be pressure on for TSM right now. The first BO5 that they have to play on LAN as well in an elimination game. But the good thing about these two teams is that all 10 players in the server right now kind of hit their strides in the right moment late in this tournament, from opener to closer, duelist to sentinel, and a supporting cast. Everybody is shooting quite well. TSM starting off on defense is also a good look. They had such a strong start against Envy during the group stages in the Swift stage when they won so many of their rounds on the defensive side, not allowing TSS, or should I say even Envy, getting any ground control on the Neon play. So hopefully they can do the same thing right here against Solid at this start of the pistol.
Yeah, over those 3 maps against Envy, TSM won every single pistol but one. They are so strong at setting the tone in the series, as you mentioned. And on defense with the double Senti, the desk was excited to see how Alvin Boy was going to try and control that space. And it's already some early aggression for TSM to grab that orb.
And this is the thing, TSM and TSS haven't played against each other yet, and you're already going into a BO5. I expect this game to be rough around the edges at the beginning. Very slow starts as well, because they don't really know their own play styles or how to play against each other yet until now, as this spotlight comes through. But there's already a piece of util on the side of TSM to stall that into the minute round, so Havoc now has to activate.
So much push and pull from Team Solid, and as you look both ways, you get hit by a truck. That's first blood for TSM, hoping to take yet another successful pistol. And look how they marched like an army, and there's only one place Team Solid can end up. And at least Conan's in the picture. Rafa's still got the paranoia, and they know where this push is coming from, but the double swing is clean from TSM. Conan's on his last life, and will he just give this flawless to TSM? What a banger between these two teams. TSM with the pistol.
And the important thing about this game as well is because they haven't played against each other yet, they will kind of stick around to their playbooks. TSM has done the exact opening versus Envy as well, the triple push down towards the A side. But if there was actually going to be some teams or enemies moving on the opposite side of the map, that triple flank will start activating. But instead, you stall, you wait, you react, and TSM did a great job reacting back to fighting on middle after stalling that initial push over on that A side. So again, I expect this to be kind of like just Team Solid trying to feel out their attack side a bit as well, and try to make sure that they could start activating Digizine on the slides that he could actually provide, and how Solid has also been very good on the openers against Winthrop in the past. So now in their eco rounders, I mean, just pistols on the side of Solid, and they're going to do the same thing, just a walk-up contact very slowly. But with this wall coming up, that's a little bit of space where GMD would potentially get challenged.
And that allows TSM to focus on that alleyway first. And just this fight for A orb is so difficult when there's a Sage on that defense. And Seven has brought so much more of that in the forefront these past couple months. Be on defense is big, and the Judge, she gets flashed, but life flashes before Team Solid's eyes, and they fall one by one. At least Shorty versus Judge, who is going to withstand, and it's Team Solid that put a dent. But Rafa can't pick up any of those weapons. He'll just have to escape with the spike.
That is the silver lining, be able to push Rafa away, not being able to pick up the Judge or anything else, so he's still stuck with only a Shorty. So you can see him moving back here, just trying to play some close quarters, trying to isolate a fight and hopefully pick up a weapon in the process. There is maybe something to pick up at the bottom here, which he will now upgrade into that Sheriff. But outside of that, TSM did a great job stalling that 2 versus 5 hit over on the elbow. They still have full control around the map. The gap is currently towards the market.
30 seconds
and you
left.
already see here Rafa potentially walking into this crossfire.
Yeah, this is so deja vu. Rafa wide swing. Vora checks him at the door, and Vora has been so consistent these last couple of matches. I mean, the desk highlighted him as one of the best fragging IGLs, and he was a huge proponent of being able to deal with so many of the Sentinel trips from the NV side yesterday. So keep an eye on what Vora's going to be able to deliver today.
Also liking, as you just saw the players on the TSM side after converting here this anti-eco. You're seeing that they're all still smiles. Alvin Boy's even grinning, putting his tongue out. And that brings a lot, means a lot for a team like TSM. Again, this is the BO5 that they play on LAN for the first time with this roster. And they have the whole Brazilian crowd against them, except again, we'll underline it, maybe the 4 TSM fans on that front row. So for them to still be able to find that confidence at the very beginning and not let that crowd fluster them, it's a great look to what's coming up in this series.
Only a small delay from Seven, but the Bucky will shut the door for good. Team Solid don't want to risk going top mid, not with the smokes that they've invested. They kind of block off Market, see if they can funnel right into B. There won't be trips in their way, at least not right away. And Digizine makes contact first. Paranoia through the back of the site. Alvin Boy has to hold it down for as long as he can. Help is on the way, but wait, Haptic has the rotation cut off. Vora needs to trade and aligns it with the Sheriff beautifully. Team Solid are not out of this yet, but there's still 2 of TSM left. It's going to be hard for Vora to push with just the Bucky. But what we like about Team Solid is how proactive they are to get ahead of these fights before TSM gets settled and even get sightlines on the site.
And even when Havoc's able to get 1 kill when he's dinked earlier on, down at 10 HP, and still finds value on the lurk, that shows as well that Solid do not mind here on the map control that TSM think that they have, and that they could still find these gaps when they're forcing these rotates. And they always expect here GMD, I mean, if they've done a little bit of tape studying, you would expect GMD to go for these type of flanks. So he's already being damaged, down to 7 HP. Doesn't want to give an orb out here to 2 of the players of the supporting cast that was mentioned at the desk that have been awesome so far for Solid against Winthrop. That's PXS and Conan. PXS having an excellent game on this very map of Sunset against Winthrop. And if you're looking at the side here of his compatriot, it was actually on Corrode, where you had Conan play so well, finding that timing that Ash was mentioning about before too. But if not, in terms of this composition here for the side of Solid, that breach looks to still be pretty good here for the side of Solid. Playing it as if we were still playing on the Neon Breach meta so far, finding some great spacing and getting pretty decent value off these flashes coming out from this breach.
There's been a lot of push and pull, like a tug of war because of that breach, and then the responding slow orbs, paranoias. There's a lot of tools to win fights on the right side of the map, making it very perilous to even go for that A orb. So Team Solid have been trying to deal with those B main trips too, making any orb grab from Team Solid come at a cost, maybe. It's now a one-way comes out of TSM.
And TSM, you saw Vora is saving all of his util at the very beginning, so they're trying to leverage the slow orbs and also the door for the first impact of sound that they can get, and the swing out is GMD punished.
PXS has been such a good enabler of Digizine, both very deserving of that spotlight. Now with that Sage wall up, It's only one place 7 needs to focus on, but needing to stay alive to kind of help heal everybody up if you have some tags going on. But Team Solid now been gifted the site. Dijazine is usually so good at hitting those shots when he slides, but 7 is stoic. The battle stage has arrived, and Team Solid have dropped the spike. It's all up to Rafa yet again. The IGL on the side of Team Solid to save this round, but when you have an op in the picture, when you have 7 who hasn't missed a shot at the top site, you don't have elbow control, at least you know that's clear. You can try and get an angle in the backs of TSM, but they have their bases covered, and you hear that up. You're starting to worry about how you want to challenge that. Try to take your duel against 7 and actually just going to smoke it off so you can grab sight, but you don't have an alternative. You just don't have time. 8 seconds left, and Rafa would have liked to escape with the rifle, and 7 walks away with 4 this round.
That should have been a save your weapon into the next round scenario, especially when you lost everybody on that hit. I love the punish that they had on GMD at first, though. GMD had to use both of his smokes to cover up that one-way boxes over on that A side. And he's like, okay, well, I have no more util left. We need to figure out what's happening towards the mid-round. Decides to walk out and gets punished right away. But look at the micro adjustments and the times that 7 is fighting, dodging around all that util being thrown at him. Yet Aftershock, there was a relay bolt. There was even a haunt on the top. He avoids and breaks all of that and still finds value in his duels. And that brings that mistake on the side of Solid, though. The fact that they tried to move out and not as a group to ensure a trade and walked out 1 by 1. 7 just got a huge highlight reel out of that, and even a free ult when Rafa tapped the spike, baited out the switch, or baited out the push through the smoke. And now Team TSM are looking quite good going into the next round. This is going to be another anti-eco round. There's no plant still on the side of Solid, and then they could leverage once again a little bit more aggression in maybe Timotino with the operator, because again, you have this res available from the Sage now.
Yeah, that stage changes the whole game plan on how you take fights when you want to try and deny that res and at least try to punish it. And just speaking of 7, just how he's adapted through the years from Initiator flexing to Sentinel and now bringing out Sage more than ever. And he's done such an incredible job, and you just focus in on the playoff stats. He's #1 in KD, top 4 in ACS. Like, 7 has been incredible throughout, and it's not even on the duelist of all things. And the fact that he's so flexible, and he's filled all the gaps that TSM have needed throughout this time, it's a big reason he's been added to this roster.
And good news here for Solid as well, as you just talked about 7 being so good spamming the Sage. For Solid's end on the Brazilian side, from Swiss stage to group stages or North American teams that they have to face off against a lot, one of them was Winthrop. And Winthrop has been spamming a lot of the Sage themselves, with Ali playing that role in most of those maps. So this is not unfamiliar territory to see 7 coming out with the Sage or playing against the Sage on this map. So I'm sure they have some sort of way to understand how TSM are going to play around this agent and just them as a group. But overall, when you're looking at this in the BO5 here, as we have unfortunately a small tech pause, I want to go back to the vetoes. You have here where TSS bans Abyss as their team A, so they're the first one able to ban. And TSM hasn't had the best of Corrodes as of yet, especially when they had to play the vanilla comp. You saw how they were dismantled by the way their ankles were being broken against Envy yesterday, when Envy were so good on selling fakes on 4-1s or just doing 5-player slam hits, sight hits, slams that weren't able to be held back by TSM. So the fact that Solid bans that first, it gives so many of these maps available for TSM to play into their strong suit. So they ban Corrote, where TSM themselves also is probably that second map, their second weakest map going into this tournament. So now you're going to push in potentially to a 5th map of Bind. And if it gets there, it's actually Solid that hasn't had the best of results on their side, trying to find and cope in ways that they could build a good composition and potentially going into this double duelist with Havoc and Dijazine moving into that map. I think if they do want to eliminate TSM here for Solid, you cannot let this go into that map #5 decider.
And usually it's Team Solid that have been able to swell up their economy to the points where they can buy ops and they can create that threat level. But now that still remains on the Timotino side. You heard that op last round. It's going to be kept, and it's going to take a peek at this B main push from Team Solid. And it's a jump peek right at the kneecap. And to lose Dijazine is such a killer. That's a huge part of how Team Solid would have liked to get into the site. but having mostly Sheriffs wasn't going to be a good round anyway.
I mean, the reaction time, though, still on the Star Duelist. That was such a tight angle to hold, and it's a jump spot on a Neon high gear, and he still hits it. That's a beautiful reaction time and shot. Now walking, punished in the smoke. It's Rafa falling down, and that's the insert that probably could have been that playmaker here for the team. There is at least half that made it through, but I think the best bet he has is maybe damage on the 1-2 kills here.
Oh, the 180 is crazy. Yeah, worst case, you have the Resurrect, but now you don't really need it. This can just be yet another clean round from TSM to get a win streak going. And I know the hype is there after 7 got a 4K in round 4. And we kind of called it the oxygen div because he kind of inspired Roy to get the nose strips going. So.
Yeah, Roy, GMD, everybody's wearing them and got them customized somehow in a black strip too, because Roy definitely didn't pay extra for the black nose strip. He just went for the vanilla one that you get at the CVS next door. That said, though, it's still some good damage from PXS. He already dropped the second player. Right now, I'd like to see Alvin Boy maybe pick up that last kill because for me, I'd like to have that ult up as soon as possible, more than the defensive ult here from GMD on that Omen ult. So good for him to pick that up, and you're really seeing TSM here snowballing some good rounds at the very beginning of this game. Again, we told you it was going to be very potentially rusty and rough, where you have TSS trying to figure out push and prod or figure out where the setups is for TSM at the very beginning. So after that timeout being called, or actually it was only a tech pause, they still haven't had that big conversation with Beu yet to figure out here how they could really attack, as you're probably still trying to figure out here how TSM are currently playing, because so far it's just some nice little aggressive openers on the side of TSM.
Now, as a reaction to that off, now you know Timotino is going to hit that shot. You throw out a Prowler. You get Conan to fault line early. How much do Team Solid want to invest to make TSM uncomfortable on that defense? And it's Tisha Zine, holy, just paving the way. Top mid by himself, puts the cape on his back. And look, Timotino's going to turn around and worry, which creates an opening for Team Solid. They're going to smoke off this up, and now Timotino's going to have to take a seat. But with the limited numbers they have, 7 may have to think about whether he wants to res. And if this round is really winnable, and now that Timotino is gone, that decision's kind of made for you.
It had to come down to that pick. If Timotino got that one onto Rafa, you definitely would see 7 going for the res and they try to go for the retake onto the sites, because you have an opportunity to get Vora up, Hunter Sphere on that retake. But it comes to show the positioning you have from TSM. Another one of those things that I like to underline how TSM looked pretty good in this tournament was how they're able to set up and understand where the opponent's going to be hitting at the beginning of these rounds. So as you have this right side smoke being thrown on the attack side, and they have the reaction trip over on quad on top left side mid, they play the high low on the box so they could support from short A and also play the high low to watch middle. But somehow when the smoke dissipates, you have Digizine, that star player on the side of Solid, that goes up and down on the micro transfer of these 2 players and just opens up that B site for Team Solid to take. And that was a huge opener that you needed for the side of Solid to be able to salvage that round and salvage at least the half, so they could start this comeback here.
Fine, you can talk about the next round too, because during this whole safing, well, Rafa picked up the op. You have Conan, who's 2 away from the Rolling Thunder. You have a Nightfall going into this round, so yeah, of course it's got to be an A hit, because 7's not gonna want to show face, throw a slow orb, fade away. But what's Timotino thinking? He's off to the side with his own op, another one purchased from the side of TSM. And now it's a duel, or Team Solid, how much do they want to respect this slow orb? It's a tight angle, and just the kneecap. No, GMD takes damage. Now a Hunter's Fury, while Team Solid are all corralled. They do manage to dodge a lot of that, but watch out what Havoc's been able to do. He's at the top of the site, breaking trips, and he escapes.
Great conditioning by the side of TSM, and then you post up the op versus op. Both of them getting leg shots through boxes, and thankfully those 7 still around, gets the heal up and also gets the lurk kill.
Oh, this is another dangerous spot. Timotino chased away by the Prowler. Wait, he still got a shot through the box. Rafa's a victim. But at least this gets Conan 1 step closer to that Rolling Thunder. And now in this elbow control, you'll have PXS who could use the Nightfall. Of course, they've gotten TSM's attention. But what are they going to do with it? And 7's in a place where he could fall first. And that would mean the win condition of the res would be gone. Solid take their time, and Timotino hits it again, and the op drops for Team Solid.
30 seconds left.
Seven's confidence is blooming as he hopes to swing off this angle. PXS recovers the op. At this point, this round feels cooked.
Yeah. Safe for next round. At this point, Conan, the next round, you could probably try to pick up the orb on his side too, and they could have 2 big ults to invest in. Make that even 5 ults across the board for Solid. He walked into this with already 4 ults available on their side. Fortunately, couldn't really get the opener there. Lucky at the side of TSM. Nice work by Alvin Boy, though. The good news, all ults are available for Team Solid going into potentially into the next round. You could use the overdrive into a half buy. They've been really good in those moments as well on even Abyss against Winthrop. You had one of these rounds, I think it was later in the half. You had 2 players still able to have only 2 rifles around 3 shares and still capitalize on a round, and actually not even on Abyss. I remember vividly now being on Sunset against Winthrop just yesterday. That said, though, just the shots coming out from Timotino on these tight angle holds are so impressive.
So force a timeout for Team Solid now to consider going forward. How you look at TSM with the op in hand, and just Timotino, especially Team Solid, been hitting their head against the wall. I think they're still one away from that rolling. Or actually, Conan probably got it from those last kills, so it's probably a rolling thunder round.
Again, all 5 ults are available there, so you could definitely start scaling a little bit of that too. But if anything, it's looking again. I want to underline how Timotino is looking quite hot with this operator, because when he was walking on that stage, you saw that in that huddle, he was leaning back and forth, showing a little bit of nerves going through, but it looks like he's letting all of those nerves turn into energy in the server, as he's not missed a single shot so far with the op. Even the one on the 1v1 against Digizine, it was a leg shot, a wall bang, that Digizine, was still able to survive. So they have to find a way right now as well for Team Solid to really try to push Timotino away from these aggressive lines, and that might be that first layer. So leveraging a lot of PXS's utility at the very beginning, potentially with the Prowlers to maybe try to find him, which is why they're leaning towards his B side first, maybe a fault line contact too, and Timotino almost had another one there.
I know, it was a jump scare, wow. You got to be clean with those jump spots, but like you said, 5 ults, but not the best of buys, and Dijazine's been humbled already when he dueled up against 7. That was on the opposite side of the map, where it's a lot of trips on that side, and just open house for Timotino to go hunting. That'll give him the showstopper too. Doesn't even reveal his footsteps, takes a blind shot, fault line will hit him. Team Solid enter, GMD's hoping to get a cut off, and he tags up Havoc. Nightfall ensues, TSM up their backs against the wall, and GMD still gets the kill. He's been so patient for, but it all gets resurrected. TSM now on the perimeter, and it's maybe a neural theft that could come in if TSM need more information, but I think they have Team Solid exactly where they want them, and a showstopper at the feet of Rafa. And these low buys are not going to pull through for Team Solid. It's just about doing damage, but it's about TSM being on top.
Yeah, the idea around the Team Solid's approach at first was actually not too bad in this half buy that they've gotten. So setting up that fault line, if they were able to spot somebody with the camera from Havoc, would allow DJZ to just start moving forward and slide down to get that pick. But as we slow things down for a bit, it was a walk down from Team Latino. A small mistake coming out from Arafa. Smoke, though, there was still a gap for GMD to still see everybody crossing over. So that confirms that there's not going to be any type of like fake pumps moving through. Everybody rotates across, and you have that ult available from 7 that allows Team Latino to get his out. But look at how much they spent against the half buy of Team Solid. They have no ults left on their end, while Solid could really move in with this rolling thunder back onto this B site now.
Go, go, go. Yeah, that's a good silver lining. Because he knows he has to be careful. Rolling thunder through the market side. Don't think it made contact for TSM, but Team Solid could at least move forward, save their util for the post plant, or to hit TSM at the back site. But the camera's still up from Alvin Boy. But now it's been, I think, smoked off, so I don't know how much he can really see, but Dijazine sees red. Kills 7. TSM have to watch the market side. That's where the op from Team Atuna's blocked from the neon wall. Boombot may not really confirm the best information. So no one's really in market. Team Solid holding it down on the site, and the drone goes mostly unshot, so there's A lot for TSM to work with. How many are still within the site? But Conan's always good for one. And now the op is going to show face. And Team Solid, all they could do is hide and cower. Because the Sentinel on duty is Alvin. Picks up a double kill. 4 adds to that equation. And there's damage being done to TSM. But still 2 remain for the defuse.
TSM once again forcing a hand out of Solid. You saw how fast the TP came through from G&D inside towards that spawn, and he was just waiting. You need to make so much noise on that back of Boba, force your opponents to use util, and maybe he could TP across and mask the TP through the trip. But Havoc placed a beautiful camera that allows for them to set up and get the kill towards that back, but then it engages that push from the other side of that B site once again. So very coordinated push towards TSM Zen. They get all of those picks available for their side, and they get a nasty retake and a beautiful defuse in the end. 7 once again stepping up, feeling it right now, and as just mentioned before here, it's the nerves could be there for the side of TSM when you're facing against the whole crowd of Brazil, but once again, they're not being flustered.
Because a lot of these Team Solid ultimates are just to get on the site. Nightfall, Rolling Thunder, it's not always resulting in that first blood. Gets them established, gets them comfortable, but when you still have a controller left on TSM, it makes it so you can't play from main. You're really stuck in these close quarters, and TSM flood in and just completely take over. They're used to that chaos. Like, they played against Envy yesterday. They know all about quick reacting and kind of shooting your way through problems. So TSM definitely got hurt by that loss against Envy yesterday, but knew that just they need to think better on the fly, and they're already showing so much of that today against Team Solid.
Especially when you pulled a timeout for the side of Solid and Coach Beo, that okay, well, we have a couple of ults available. What could we really do? And then the setup already was like, okay, well, we lost already like the couple of ults that we use on that B site. We still have a Rolling Thunder. We could still plow through with rifles. Let's try to get that into the B site for the plant. But TSM, they kind of read them like a book. It was too predictable. Everybody played kind of off site. You're already holding towards the height walls behind Boba, just hugging the walls of Boba rather, that you're not affected by the Rolling Thunder at all. So while these players are still being set up, you're kind of just walking into the honeypot. Everybody's trying to play backside, hold the back smoke. But then you just have too much counter utility on the side of TSM because they didn't have to use any of it in the first place when Solid moved through. So you have a combination of a lot of, util around the pinch that you have on both angles, and it just resulted in what we just saw previously. So again, coming to see that they haven't really mustered any big rounds in their favor as of yet here for Solid. I just like to see that right now their reactions on the face, that they're not, they know that this is a BO5. There's still a lot of Valorant to be played within this series, and they still have great opportunities throughout the rest of this half too. Remember, TSM had a strong look on the defensive side against Envy in that Swiss stage, but they haven't really had too many rounds on the attack either. So they still have that, ace on the sleeve against Solid for this very map. But once we move over to the next map of Lotus, I mean, that could be anybody's map.
After what I saw TSM do to Envy on that map, though, at least I'm favoring TSM based on the protocols. But yeah, you kind of look at just the firepower of both these teams, because that's really what's going to define the result at the end of the day. And you have Dijazine, who already starting with 3 first kills. In total, that team has 4. TSM only have 5 first bloods, and still the scoreline is 7-2. So it's just TSM's retakes have just been that solid. And I think it's a good understanding of the space too, being aware of those traps that Conan is trying to set up, because Team Solid kind of revealed what those fault lines are going to look like at the beginning. So 7 is respecting that over on the right side of the map. He's kind of not taking those fights immediately. Team Otino's hugging tight angles with the op. They're letting Team Solid kind of dictate the first moves on the chessboard, and then they go to take the king.
And TSM, it definitely feels like they've ironed out a couple of the kinks against Envy's game yesterday to play against Team Solid today. Because despite them winning 5 out of the 6 pistol rounds in that series against Envy yesterday, a lot of those rounds where they kind of faltered, especially when you're looking at that second and third map of Abyss, and most likely Heaven, most importantly Haven rather, it's the lack of being able to flood retake just like they're able to do against Team Solid right now, because Envy were so good playing in aggressive angles and in impulse plans, having a couple of players being inserted at different spots that kind of cuts these rotates and dwindling down the numbers, making it easier for the players playing on site in the post plant to win like a 2v2 or a 2v3. You're starting to see at least this side for Solid, they tried to do something similar. That previous round where you had the Jazeen inside market, he was there, he won that fight against 7, but he was still kind of solo there and nobody to really be there to trade out with him because they were kind of just holding back towards that staircase left side of that plant. But the previous round before that even, Rafa made it inside that smoke. He was trying to cut angles through that spot, but he got owned by a Showstopper because of that drone that came back from Vora. So the ideas of what they're trying to do and potentially the weaknesses that they thought they would have against Team TSM today is actually now a roadblock that they have, and they have to utilize this second timeout already after this technical pause to really try to work that out and get as many rounds as they could on their attack side because they're confident into what Digizine could bring with his operator on the defensive side.
Yeah, the attacks for Team Solid, that's their bread and butter. That's why they like to even throw in a second duelist. I mean, I was a big fan of what Havoc was doing yesterday, even pulling off a 6K ace. So we know that there's pop-off potential for Team Solid. They still yet to find it. Because again, taking the site, easy. Now you need to complicate things. You need to add layers to these initiators of how you can keep TSM suppressed. Because once you use everything, you're left with nothing against TSM. So we'll see how Team Solid can maybe even try to extend out of the site. Digizine has tried that in the past on A, and that's where 7 had the 4K on round 4. What a slowdown for Team Solid. Let's see if they can draw TSM into a fight.
Almost feels like they're trying to gamble here off a fault line and overdrive from Digizine to get some space, but Timotino is already playing on the top of the boxes to look down that iron sight of the operator and see what he could pick up at that spot. But after the Prowler sees nothing yet here, this now becomes a little bit of a walk-up contact, but his camera also doesn't see him. Timotino might get a free kill here. What a spot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is nerdy, as you like to say.
Yeah, because the camera doesn't see him. He still has a one-way. He looks under the, I guess, scaffolding, and that's happened dropping down. That's so cool.
And now you know the op is ready for you. At least it's smoked off. Shout out to Rafa. Can he get close enough, though, for these stingers to do damage? Right at the back. GMD lurking. You really trust that smoke on the top, and Digizine reacts appropriately. You don't get to see him with a frenzy too often,
30 seconds
too.
left.
Because he knows
Spike
he has
planted.
to scrap away against TSM. Now the op will be watching. Team Solid get over eager. They try to make space. They'll be just feeding more kills to the beast of Timotino, who's so close to yet another showstopper. Here's the approach, and even through the slow crawl. Digizine down for the count. And now the numbers dwindle for Team Solid on this post plant, hoping that the Sheriff can just find its mark. But now you're just getting spammed in the box. A collapse at 15 HP. PXS, the absolute GOAT. But he gets put to rest. Alvin Boy against Conan, who just has to live long enough for the spike. And Alvin Boy pulls through for TSM. Oh, but he didn't have time. Conan pulled it off.
What a shot by PXS. A Collat playing at low HP. I think he had 15 HP at the default boxes and is able to mow down 2 players running across his crosshair. And that is just a little bit difficult here when you're looking at how TSM's playing that retake. Even their positioning at the beginning, look at how they're playing on these boxes passively, looking over the elbow for smokes, looking over even at the angle that we saw Timotino got that pick. But because of that, they had all the other 3 players just anchoring towards the A site with 0 information on middle. So when it comes down to actually opening up the site finally, and they take over the A site control for Solid, everybody has to re-clear every single corner for TSM because they respect Havoc's lurks. So now you have the clock against you. You're running in to try to go for the retake. You're getting lined up and owned by PXS, and you win off time. That's a nice little silver lining, another silver lining that you'll take for Team Solid, because the timeout was supposed to be for this round here, but they could still leverage the big ult from Digizine.
And for Conan to stay that composed in a 1v1, to not swing immediately because every second mattered. Team Solid, just after the timeout, take their first round. Digizine heads to the back of the site. But you're going to need to pull off some kills, and they watch market carefully with a keen eye. Havoc gets that first blood. Neural Theft activated. You know how close TSM are? Who is left? And GMD holds his ground. Havoc got excited off the information. Now TSM get info of their own, and it's a showstopper that clears the way, and it splashes onto the lap of PXS. We have even numbers somehow with Team Solid having such a strong start. Timotino with the op at close range is gonna hug the angle, and GMD hugs the grave. Team Solid try to wrap around, ring around the Rosie. The IGL gets 3, and Team Solid go back to back.
And sometimes Valorant can be played just like golf. You could have the best skill as possible, but you're a hole in one or your birdies on long putts, you just need a little bit of luck sometimes. And Havoc goes for a couple of taps. I'm pretty sure that was through smoke to get that kill onto Alvin Boy. And that gets so much information right after, right there. Through the cage, through 2 smokes, gets the headshot onto Alvin Boy, throws the hat, gets all the info. And look at how you rescale this time for TSM. As much as I was praising how good they were to flood retake on the site versus Envy in the past, that's twice now that you walk down a solo player down the staircase and lose a duel at that spot. That's not good here for Solid, and he could salvage this half now.
It's Team Solid using both those timeouts to end on the best foot that they can in this first half. Now they're starting to really heat up, and we'll see even more proof of that if Dijazine activates the overdrive and lets loose. Now the wall just seal top mid so that TSM can help maybe reinforce A or B, the perimeter, and Team Solid really slow down their initial default to just see what they can get.
TSM's a little bit more active this time around, though. They threw the wall early. They were trying to bait out some shots. They hurt info towards middle. And now, especially with this orb, you could expect this lean towards this B side, especially now with the Rolling Thunder.
Rolling Thunder, Dijazine finally gets stopped. TSM, you have to throw everything at the duelist to silence him for good. Trades are good, and Team Solid are ahead by 1. A 7, 1 away from the res would have been crucial in this. Gets a lucky kill against PXS. Ooh, maybe just have dodged the Nightfall. Again, to keep TSM suppressed. You know how powerful the retakes have been, and here comes GMD.
There's flash here. You're gonna have to use it to retake backside, so nothing for the front.
Being able to play for main, at least Team Solid have some space to work with as Conan goes to protect PXS. Good peel, the slow orb, but on the right side, Conan flashes out. 7, a little bit stuck, and GMD swings with them. Comes down to that final duel. Diffuse, not gonna be held. A big stop from Conan.
And so much value has been taken once again on these insert from lurks or just positioning to control market on their side. How many rounds have they gotten here on that B side just by having players playing right over here? First, with the execution, but secondly, Rafa with the late lurk on middle. He's gotten value twice so far, walking into that spot. And the scaling that you have back, the rotate that you have back from TSM, avoiding middle, was unfortunately the bane here of their half. They had such a strong start, but now we're back into a strong game. We don't even have to think about Lotus yet. We actually have an opportunity already with the next pistol for Solid to take it back.
The TSM have been so strong at those pistols. We got an interview in the crowd. Let's go say hi.
Tudo na paz. I'm with Missing, a Brazilian Challengers player. E amigo, já que você jogou o Challengers aí, conhece bem, hein? Os meninos de lá de vários e vários anos. Dá pra confiar nessa virada aqui, fazer só 5 no ataque, é bem pegado nesse mapa, não?
Dá. A gente vai conseguir essa virada aí, só fazer o pistolzinho, fica mais tranquilo. Mas tá difícil.
Tá difícil. He said that they have to win the pistol round to try to come back this map. It's hard, but they will come on top. E, mano, qual que é a grande diferença pra você jogar melhor de 3 ou melhor de 5, assim? Porque eu falei com o Kono quando eu disse que eu tava muito confiante pra jogar MD5 contra esses caras.
Cara, eu acho que a diferença é mais psicológico mesmo. A torcida ajuda bastante, dá pra ouvir lá todo mundo gritando, dá uma energia muito boa. E agora é com eles. A gente tá fazendo nossa parte.
Exatamente. I asked him what's the big difference about BO3 and BO5. And he says about the endurance, but the crowd is helping, making a lot of noise. É isso, amigo. Divirta-se, tomara que você traga sorte pros meninos.
Obrigado, vai dar bom hoje.
Vai dar bom, então bora pra segunda metade.
Vamos, Soli!
Well, the crowd is on their feet, and this is the exact point you got to start worrying if you're TSM, because Brazil backs Team Solid, and you see just how loud that venue gets when they start winning.
Now this is hard mode for TSM. The tough part right now is, as much as I praise Timotino and how good he was with the op on the defensive side, Digizine is going to be as deadly, if not potentially deadlier, than Timotino on the defensive side. And there's been a lot of these teams that were never able to find any answer as soon as Digizine gets the op up, because he's so good in finding those early spots and fast rotations where he predicts where the second layer is going to be, and he just always finds these picks. So what do you really have on that side for TSM to try to push him off those lines? There's not too much, right? Because now you're playing the Sage on your side. The best thing you have is potentially Boombot and an Owl Drone, but that will be less pieces of util to really try to go for full site execs or even into mid-round calls. So it really comes down now to what I like to think, if NBS has been working around the clock yesterday to understand that the setups and the plays here from Solid on the defensive side, so they don't have to use too much of that util in the very beginning of these rounds.
The silver lining for Team Solid is that finally TSM don't have an op. Like, you reset everything back to zero, but TSM have been so strong at those pistols. We talked about it statistically, but Team Solid, now the ball isn't really in their court to make that first decision. They could kind of hang back and see what TSM are going to bring to the table.
And this is probably not the right moment for either of these teams to face a lot of these tech pauses in their first map of this series. You walk into this game with a lot of adrenaline. You've already had your huge pep talk from both MBS and Coach Bayo on either side of TSM and Team Solid respectively. But now you're being iced out, especially on the camp of Solid that already started this comeback. Well, what do we have at some point? Like a 6-2 scoreline, a 3/4-0 start for TSM at first. And we were looking pretty good here for Solid to continue forward in this pistol round, but now this is going to level out the playing field going into the second half.
This is a Team Solid that are so happy to be here, and like you said, it didn't start off well. And Team Solid have shown that they can slow down a little bit, but they know how to ramp back up, and the crowd is such a boon to them. But TSM kind of know what it's like to be on the other side of that at times. And they've had, you know, a tough journey through this whole season. It's very TSM to kind of struggle through the first half of the season and to really show up at the end. And to come in to Ascension, TSM being the favorites, really shows the amount of work and preparation that they've done to reach this level.
That's the crazy part, to go into this game where maybe we have the NA bias, but if you're looking at recency and how, you know, some teams look solid, or from macro play to individual plays, you could almost definitely say that the grand finals could be like a TSM versus Envy in the grand finals, if not for amazing firepower and coming in from the side of Team Solid. That would be definitely the outcome towards the end. But Solid are definitely looking like the team that they're supposed to be. They walk into this tournament as a second seed for Brazil, losing a lot of their games against Stellai over in the VCL for stage 2 and stage 1. I think like their biggest opponents were not only Stellai, but also I think Red Canids, if not mistaken. That kind of just went back and forth, and they never really lost against anybody else. But once they got here onto the stage, right here on Ascension, they just feel like at home, like as if they're playing the VCTs again. So when you're looking back at this BO5, this is not unfamiliar territory for players across the board that has, unfortunately, faced a lot of losses on the VCT stage. So they could almost play, you know, with a lot less pressure, not only with the crowd on their back, but also knowing that, you know, this should be a walk in the park for them because they've already made it on the big stage before.
Just looking at the stats too for first kills, Havoc, Timotino, Digizine are all 2, 3, and 4 in Ascension playoffs. Like, we have the best of the best here. Competition doesn't get any tighter than this, but only one Brazilian team remains. I know some people were joking around like, why didn't we do this in LA with how many NA teams we have left? But I predicted Team Solid because I know just where that ceiling can be for Digizine. It was just insane at the beginning of this tournament. I called him a smurf, and I was not kidding. And look at this walk up towards the A side. It's going to get marked by that trip. This TSM want to maybe fight for this orb.
It's so funny. It's the exact same start that TSM had. The triple walk, even going for that. But as you use double util to take over that A site, if the IGL's been looking at the minimap, they should start posturing up and going for this exec, but instead they stall. They just want to cut the full noise and thinking that somebody's going to have to move forward and make the mistake. And there you go. Maybe that's the reason why. All of them just kind of stayed towards the spawn in the very beginning. I was wondering too, because you kind of just had who was it, Alvin Boy, just staying still in his camera at the very beginning of the round. Everybody's just holding pistols at the entrance of that B site. So looks like we are trying to resolve an issue. It looks like it is 7 on that stage. But the thing is as we call this tech pause, there was still early information and utility used by the side of Solid for this attempt of a trap play over on that A side. So now, I mean, there's no damage being done. If I understand the rulebook correctly, this is just still going to be, you know, a reset into the round, a 6-6. You still get your util back on the side here of Team Solid, but you've also just taken away the set strat that they're trying to do here at that minute mark that they were trying to trap on the side of Solid. So will that change things around here once we get back into that pistol round?
Yeah, and that's when maturity and experience really comes into play. Like what all the players from Team Solid have been in Tier 1, and for TSM side, they've been either friends or on the same team for years, like especially Seven and GMD, who are the founding members of TSM, and now have these additions and this new and improved TSM that could go all the way and ascend. After the years that this org has been in and out of challengers, they could be finally rewarded for their investment. And I honestly think this roster is so solid to bring Timo Tino in, who's looked incredible, is so developed under the wings of this team. And for this team to go through so many IGLs, and for everyone to kind of understand we all just want success. There's so much maturity on the side of TSM, so I hope this tech pause hasn't affected anyone.
Well, it affected TSS's strat book, because look at the Neon now. Digizine's not moving for that same setup that TSM did on the pistol. They're already going for early information. One-way smoke prowler. They're like, okay, nobody's there. It has to be a B-side hit, and Digizine's already ready to rotate across as this Neon. For TSM, same strat book.
And this time Conan has a fault line. He did not have a fault line at this initial entry of Team Solid. He got the one-way. Still TSM creep into the site, lurking around, Havoc within the smoke, trying to find some good timing, but he's been peppered by nades and by shots. He looks away from the flash. Reinforcements are here. He still stands enough to get a kill, but it's up to Team Solid to pick up the slack. And it's just not tight enough. TSM take yet another pistol.
Oof. Despite the fact that Solid understood that the re-hit was going to be on that B side. I'm saying re-hit because it's the same show of hand that TSM did here on this pistol round. They did try to go for that slide to break crosshair placement, follow util behind it, but the lineup that you have, the Congo line of TSM right there to trade off Timo Tino and getting 3 of their own on the flood that came back on Team Solid was actually quite nice. Tapping the spike to even bait the push through before even committing into the plant. Looks like they really threw Team Solid for a loop. Now they're playing a anti-eco with very early information. You have this dart going in towards this B main side. You have the camera watching mid. And you don't really see anybody pushing out here for the side of Team Solid yet, with the exception of now seeing the paranoia and also a push on that side with the classic of A and B. So TSM, they want to play the group. They know that they could play potentially a 4 versus 2, a 5 versus 1. So you're just going to try to make sure that you trade with each other here as you're scaling up.
I feel like Team Solid have done a good job of playing against the flashes. They flood in as a team. They cover their bases, and then there's gaps like that. Dijazine, the first victim. You can't afford that if you're Team Solid. Now the chances of pulling off a Thrifty are really fizzling away.
Might get one. Yeah.
Spike down.
If anything, though, you're seeing that on both sides. They're just trying to do the same thing as TSM before when they're on these lower buys. Push forward, try to find information, and get punished by TSM just staying back towards the spawn. 1 kill's good. Maybe PXS can get a right-click close range here. Yep.
30 seconds left. Spike down A.
All right, we'll take it.
Yeah, Team Solid on these lower buys, at the very least, will get 2 kills, maybe 3. No Thrifties quite yet, but that's just how well drilled TSM are, especially Timo Tino, because that just gets him ever so close. They're 2 away now from the showstopper, and he's converted a good amount of kills from that.
Yeah, deaths, kills coming through. Making sure that, you know, again, the idea that they had on this double pump on that default in the anti-eco just allows here those with the bigger rifles to just ADS down. You have GMD on one end, you have Timotino on the other side. And this could be a very similar start than the first half, where you're starting to snowball a lot of these big ults. Remember, on that first half, it was actually 7 after a 4K in the on the third round, if I'm not mistaken, that allowed for them to get the ult already into round number 4. And this time, you're 2 away from a showstopper for the side of TSM, who are looking to explode here towards the elbow.
PXS has been good at kind of jump spotting and respecting Timotino when he had the op, and still information for him to work with. But you don't have like a second sentinel that can throw down a wall, a slow orb, and make these fights sort of in your favor. But what's in Team Solid's favor is at least the first bloods.
Digizine's gonna be able to take some space though, because GMD just pulled his knife out and ran to meet up with his teammates. So they know this hit's coming towards A. Look at this crunch already from Solid.
Mid flank to Digizine. Try to activate. Big moment for GMD, but he's throwing out smokes and he's unaware. And now the flank pressure's there. Teams TSM have to put their focus forward, but they can't. And wait, Timotino can go for the ace. He swings out and pulls it off.
Timotino is insane. Again, the opener, it was a trap card. Already, they should have lost that round. After losing Alvin Boy, who continues to look into his camera into the left side short area, but exposed out in the open, gets punished by Digizine. Digizine had that timing. Look at this util coming out for the stall. The C's hit both of them. Aftershock didn't kill him. He even satchels to get the maximum space that he could have while being seized to still get value. And look at how they pivot on the fly too. The calls from Vura, they understand that flank. Let's switch back, fight that guy towards that flank, and then we'll just take that site. That's just not into the strat book itself. That has to be more reactionary calls too, and that's just great reaction on the fly from TSM, and that puts Team Solid back onto an eco, shoring their piss around. So they're gonna go for this paranoia haunt and rush down, and everybody's waiting towards that spawn. Ooh. Actually, it's just a Prowler this time around because he didn't spawn anybody. If it did see somebody, you definitely would see more of that util to follow through. But that's now TSM able to pick up that space.
See if Team Solid could pull off a Thrifty, because if they can, I mean, they'd have to double their score to catch up to TSM. And this is Solid's map pick. Just hasn't gone their way. You're used to seeing Team Solid get these multi-kills, be able to have the time to outthink their opponent. Thinking about just the Havoc moment on Corrode. Digizine, every highlight reel, you can make a movie out of it. And TSM taking a page out of Envy's book of how they're able to react and thrive through the chaos, sometimes without a game plan, it seems. But Alvin Boy with the first blood through mid. Team Solid's rotations coming in. TSM aware of this, placed the Sage Wall forward, and that's been the beauty of having 7 in these post plants, especially that's why they favor the A site, because of this very wall. So Team Solid would have to reveal their position to shoot it down, or find an alternative.
The alternative is probably a data spike. You can't let 7 start steamrolling with orbs here either. So that's why Timotino, both him and 7 are moving forward to try to get picks on. Oh, they're committed. That is... okay, whatever. If anything, though, you were just talking about highlight reels around Digizine. I definitely do agree with you. Comes to a point that if you try to do a highlight reel of Digizine, it'll probably be longer than the extended version of Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. But the thing is, right now, is in this game, it probably will not happen on this first map. You're seeing every single one of these rounds where you're committed into a lot of these sheriff buys across the board from these players, so that the op economy is definitely not there. When you're facing now at 11-5 in the adversity of you losing the first map, it's going to take you a little bit more here to try to get that operator out. It might be a little bit too late.
Timotino's at 23 kills. You better make way. TSM have not dropped a round on this half yet. And then they go to Lotus. That was a map that they took down the #1 seed on, what, 13-4, like something insane like that. We were all witnesses. Speaking of witnessing, Havoc's got the same camera going on.
My camera is...
Now Havoc, he lurks at that spot. He'll never cower, he'll never run. This time he has Rafa in the wings. And you have Conan full lining, trying to destabilize TSM on the other half. But Timotino finds timing on the initiator. And that's where the TSM flood and suffocate this defense. And now it's all up to Dijazine, the ace
Spike planted.
of Brazil's sleeve. Maybe try to find an isolated 1v1 against GMD while he's on his last life, but he's just staring down the spike, and Alvin Boy catches him first, so match point for TSM.
It's so aggressive too how Alvin Boy was playing that. So he moves forward and takes the space off the paranoia being thrown by GMD. But look at these satchels that he throws after. He doesn't allow anybody to push forward on that right side. Keeps them on that left. The fault line, or sorry, the Nightfall also misses its mark, and that's 3 free kills for GMD. But if it came down to that, Timotino would have had a shorty kill in the smoke, has the ultimate for his side too off the refresh, and it was going to be very difficult for Team Solid to even retake that B site. And again, map point, 12-5 scoreline here for TSM. And unfortunately, no op available for the side of Team Solid because all of these investments that he did from the pistol round into the eco. They're hoping that their sheriffs were good enough here to catch up in the game and force an eco on the side of TSM. But now it's potentially them thinking about the next map.
Just that tag on Rafa. I'll have to take a seat. And if Timotino wanted to fight for that orb, he'd get the showstopper, but he's always had a kill every single round. And Dijazine, what an angle, what a cut at the throat of TSM, but he wants more, and he does get more. 7 will forgive 1. And there's more left in store for TSM. Yeah, Timotino got the showstopper. Conan wants to time this flash perfectly. Right when PXS calls it, the way he got smoked off, so you kind of have to do this blindly. And Timotino does get tagged by a haunt that was thrown out, and he doesn't care. If you see this, TSM are gonna serve you an L, but the showstopper, what a silence. 1v1, Omen v Omen. But wait, it's gonna be a long journey before they meet.
And it's going to be a stalemate in this post plant because GMD has full kit and so does Rafa, and he just realized, oh, it wasn't a fake TP. He has to make so much noise on a rotate, but GMD is actually pushing out towards the spawn. This is still gonna be anybody's round in this pulse plan. At least GMD has the time in his favor.
Can TSM pull off the perfect offense? It's up to Rafa. And after what Conan PXS did to reveal the hand of TSM. Just the TP right in, red like a buck, the backhand to Team Solid. TSM take map 1.
And a great start, a solid start for TSM for sure. Winning here this first map of the series against their opponents. I think this was also picked here by Team Solid, and that's the foot that you want to take first to avoid elimination and try to get back in this grand finals against Team Envy. But Timotino seemed like an unstoppable force throughout this first map. Look at how he entered in that last round. They had the flash haunt combination from both the initiators, and he's still able to get hit by it and still get 2 kills off of it and almost a showstopper kill. This man is looking good in his BO5.
Oh, yeah. He is the GOAT. Now, we were worried about him slowing down yesterday against Envy, but you know, if Timotino is online, everybody better fear. You can reveal him with a haunt, you could throw everything at him, every ult in the book, and Timotino will still get a kill every round. He's probably at 25 plus kills. I'll let the desk crunch down the difficult numbers. Up next, we have Lotus, TSM's map pick, and we'll see you there.
Timothy, yes.
One enemy remaining. Take this, Dan.
game changers. It's about competition, pure happiness. It's like a crazy experience. We're making history. It means so much to us. It's good to be back.
I guess you know what I've been looking for, success.
The beauty of gaming is it doesn't matter who you are. And as long as I'm good enough,
Everybody's getting a 4K.
I can go as far as I want.
That's what I like to see, baby.
全世界都会知道我们的厉害。
Exactly what Core needs to do. And then there was Tristan to Aya.
Very first map here in the lower finals of Ascension. Sunset, the map of choice, getting into it. Pretty close match up until the half. TSM on defense was pretty strong, but TSM on attack, unleashed. Unleashed, guys. 6 in a row. TSM to close out the map 13-5 to take the first map in the series. Dan, looking back at that, I mean, it was just crazy. We had the X Factors and Timotino. We just had a TSM looking so strong. And as soon as that side swap happened, like, it just seemed like there was no chance.
Absolutely. One of the things that we talked about before going into this map was how good both of the teams were on the defensive side. And into that first half for TSM, you really got the chance to see it. Timotino, after a few rounds, when he was able to afford that op, he knew he was going to get forced to move by the Prowler, by the Breach 10 as well. But he was still able to delay those pushes coming in from Solid with his pain shells. He constantly had the showstopper as well. He was still finding 1 or 2 with the operator before he actually had to back up. He was having full control of that half, and even if after a few rounds Team Solid was able to make a pretty fair comeback with a 7-5, going into that second half, they could not get anything going the way that they wanted to. The last series for Team Solid, when they faced against Winthrop University on the defensive side, they were able to funnel all the plays of Winthrop University towards that mid. And this time around, it was not the case because DG Sin was not able to put as much pressure towards A main, or he was kind of in the wrong place when that side execute was taking place. So it's a bit of a series of unfortunate events that happened into the second half, but also allowed Timotino to shine so much more because of it.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about not letting Team Solid get any sort of momentum in order to run away with things, but didn't really touch on the fact that if Timotino is having a good game, it's all of a sudden swiftly going to turn into a great game. And Ash, like, looking into this, looking back at it, I mean, even when it came down to some of those 1v1s, anything else, TSM just kind of a step ahead and no openings left for Team Solid.
Yeah, it was really tough for them. I think there was some really great conditioning that was done from TSM, but taking a look at the first kills, 10 on the side of Team Solid and only 5 rounds won is so crazy. But that's when that clutch factor manages to come in here for TSM. When they're down in numbers, the way that they like to play together, they're always able to find those opportunities to bring those rounds back into their favor. An insane performance from the side of TSM. I think on defense, also want to give out a shout to Alvin Boy for a lot of those trip setups that he had there as well, just for 7 to play off of, to have some of those contact plays, making it a lot more difficult, I think, for TSM, or sorry, for Team Solid to try and bait out some of that defensive sided utility there for TSM. It was a very great showing in Team Solid, despite those 2 timeouts that were used in that first half, just really weren't able to get anything going.
They were definitely using those timeouts, being confident that that defense was going to be stronger, and it just didn't really go their way, as we talked about, losing that pistol, losing that bonus as well. But also, one of the perfect examples that we have is that round 9 for TSM. For Team Solid, they cannot get anything going. They cannot take side control. And so they use that Rolling Thunder that they have into that round. They take all that space, even if with the Gisini going market, finding an opening, there's another one. And for their retake is a 3v5 for TSM. It seems like they can't win it, and yet they are able to turn it around. They're like you're saying, they're so good at kind of playing together to those retakes and making it happen, thanks to 7-2. And it's just little things like that you see over and over again. Even if you think that Team Solid has really strong winning conditions, like that ultimate, like that Rolling Thunder that they used twice into the B main, it's just it's the late rounds that gave them so much trouble.
Something as well that just gave them trouble was just simply Timotino. I mean, he was already doing really, really good, but when you're looking at a Team Solid that wants to get a good defensive start, don't really have the pistol in the next round going their way, then Timotino comes out with an ace. Like, Ash, at that point, it's just a Team Solid just kind of snuffed out.
Yeah, it was really hard because Timotino, I think Vans was calling it out during the cast there as well, getting that operator online. He was just so tricky to get off of those angles because of his positioning, just that awareness of the utility that they were going to use to try and clear him out. And I think what's so impressive from this player as well is he had still a good performance up against Envy yesterday, but not the same kind of flashy standout performance that we've seen from him throughout the entirety of Ascension. The fact that he's able to like bounce back with so much confidence is a great sign here in map 1 for TSM.
Yeah, Timotino looks incredible, and it felt like that was a big topic of conversation going into the series because we talked about DJC and we talked about Timotino, and kind of wondering who was going to be the one a bit more active to start us off. And Timotino looked incredible on that attacking side. You saw that he went 14-2. One round he gets 4K, next one he gets an A's, and he gets a 2K. I mean, he was just really insane trying to close this out as dominant as they could with that 13-5. So I feel like this is everything that TSM needed. That was something that I mentioned that was the win condition going into the series, making sure the TSM is able to start strong, especially because now they're going to their map pick of Lotus.
It is their map pick, but it is something that we have gotten to see both teams play quite a few times and something quite strong into it. And Ash, with the knowledge, we're like Agent Select, not necessarily anticipating changes. This is where we get to see Team Solid with that double duelist.
Yeah, so Timotino is going to have a little bit more to look to contest, I think, up against that double duelist that is so good at being dive heavy. But for Team Solid as well, I think they've had really good understandings of the different win conditions going up against some of these double sentinel, double controller teams. For TSM, it'll be the double senti, but they know like, okay, we'll go be a little bit proactive on that defense, but we also won't overextend a crazy amount because they know that a TSM is going to be that team, if they've done that homework, that will have that patience on the attacking side, waiting for them to get that bit of proactivity and look to punish.
TSM, when they play this match against Envy, you can tell how much they recognize this pattern of things that Envy wanted to do on their eco rounds when they wanted to push on the defense as well. But for TSM, you do get to see them play a lot of these 4-1s, a lot of these 1-2-2s, where GMD is going to be so annoying to deal with, sometimes completely by himself towards that C side, trying to find a timing, and you see him doing it 1, 2, maybe 3 times in one half in every single match, not only here, but what we saw in Challengers. So that is going to be a threat that Team Solid has to deal with, because they do need to win this map to make us face a series into a 1-1.
I mean, I call back to their series up against Envy for Team Solid, and definitely a strong one. This double duelist style was so well for them, but on a pivotal match, it's time to see if they have the firepower to claim the second map in the series, or if it's going to be TSM to take 2 in a row and be on series point. It's time to head into Lotus and find out with your casters, Van Silly and Lemon Kiwi.
Thank you, Sierra. What a statement for TSM to make in that first map, though. 13-5, a perfect second half, too, on offense. But then they go into their map pick of Lotus, where, like the desk said, a 13-4 over Envy. Not a lot of teams can say they've done that, Vance.
That and a 13-2 on to Stellai, the #1 Brazilian seed going into Ascension. So definitely looking comfortable into this game. Thankfully, though, Solid are starting on a defensive side first, where, again, I think some of the takeaways you could take from Solid versus Winthrop was how good Solid is on a defensive side. They lost an 11-13 scoreline, but again, it goes down to the trump card, getting that off in the hands of Digizine. And TSM doesn't have too much utility to push him off these aggressive angles, especially now that Solid goes into a double duelist setup on Lotus. But then already Havoc being one of them, getting pushed away from that C side with TSM going for the old standard, control the orb, lurk towards the A side, push and pull on that.
When it comes to TSMs, how good they are at pistols, it's not just about the sheriffs going burr. A lot of the times they're buying Ghost. It's just their flood-ins and their protocols on these first rounds. They know how to set the pace. Team Solid, now they're familiar with their game a little bit, so TSM already creating a fake, just opening the door, going through B link, and Team Solid trying to absorb that map control on the right side. Paranoia in the hands of Rafa. If this door opens, Dijazine's going to be expecting some trouble, letting TSM go first.
I love the paranoia call out, but it's not going to get too much value if they're not going to go towards the tree, because even if it's being thrown on the left side, nobody's watching the staircase. It's going to have to be for the retake now.
Well, the paranoia came out from the offense, and everyone in tree is blind, so this is a difficult position for Dijazine to be in. It's all up to Havoc to reassemble this puzzle, to pick up the pieces.
Spike planted.
Just getting obliterated yet again on a pistol round. TSM are so quick to execute and to really initiate too. Just when you thought Team Solid could have maybe been proactive, like you said, it wasn't the best scenario. They know where. Like that nade from Havoc, you've done some damage. Just tapping the spike. TSM, they swing as a team and they win as a team. Another pistol goes their way.
And very nice scaling coming in from the side of a TSM. And again, if that paranoia is being used for the door, nobody was playing towards breakable or towards those boxes to really get the best value out of maybe a door tap for them to flood through. So again, it had to be a little bit more reactionary if TSM was going to choose to go into tree. They did, but they did go for the pincer anyway. So as you trade off these paranoias, Dijazine's just kind of alone because his teammates are already fully flashed by GMD at the tree. So it gets instantly traded off. They flood in. They also get the picks back towards the ones trying to fight back from the top heaven side. And TSM, you just mentioned it, Lemon Kiwi, how good they've been. It doesn't have to be Sheriffs. It doesn't have to be Classics. They're just doing good on protocols of making sure that they're playing a buddy system and trading off each other. And now you at least added a little bit of pressure over towards that front of the A side. You've already inserted Rafa with this shorty, so you can really stack those players towards this C site. And they once again go into these rounds where they have Sheriffs to work with. And again, another one of those rounds where potentially it might cost them in the long run if they cannot snowball these rounds, because it's going to take them a while to get the operator out.
You know TSM buy that outlaw on every anti-eco, but what Rafa's doing right now is exactly what King Zera did. And even to find that timing when the drone comes out and the pass repeats itself, and Team Solid now will learn that lesson the hard way. Another first blood goes TSM's way, and despite that door being open, now TSM have to use more util. They've pulled now Team Solid to the right side of the map where TSM maybe could have pivoted into B. But the red carpet has been set. That snake fight is going to deny that right lane, and the slow orb to stop Team Solid from taking up too much space on the retake. Oh, but that entry from Dijazine is clean with the Sheriffs. He's as deadly as ever. And now he rounds about. He's low HP. GMD, he's the one doing damage. Dijazine takes Timotino's outlaw and shows him how it's done. But the health difference in favor of 7. Gun difference for Dijazine. No A's for him. 7 slaps him.
Oh, very close in the end, and thank God you do have 7 that you highlighted them in QE on the first map. Somebody who's been pivotal into the successes of TSM throughout this tournament, and he's able to win that 1v1. It didn't really matter in terms of the health anymore because Dijazine picked up the outlaw left behind by Timotino. A slight mistake came through on the scale for the side of TSM because players were walking through the slow orbs, so they heard that audio cue potentially, and it allowed Dijazine to just get set up and get those early picks with those shares. And now that actually helps a little bit on their side, because I just talked about economy that is going to be difficult to pick up here on these Sheriff buys. Thankfully, he gets these kills. Owl Jones going to spot Dijazine, forces a TP, and that's a small win for TSM to take over the C-Mount. Yet, Dijazine is playing with the Vandal this round.
because of that 4K, DJZ not only gets that Vandal, but the dimensional drift. So I think Team Solid can kind of lay back, do the initial damage, because they'll have an incredible tool to be able to retake, get that information, to go in with confidence. It's Crossfire, going to be difficult for TSM. You don't have a Prowler, you don't have a Fade in this, so information is difficult to get. Check these corners, and TSM play with their food. And their lurks get activated over on the B side. It is a trade, though. Dimensional Drift actually gone. DJZ was that victim. So now Team Solid are even further behind.
I want to walk through this smoke yet, too, because of the positioning of Rafa, who's been very good in these off angles, and a lot of these series that Team Solid has played this tournament. Now decides to play the stall instead. A second pop and go for the side of TSM is going to get slowed, but the paranoia allowing here Havoc to get a good position off his Guardian.
So Rafa want to just spam through this smoke. He reveal his position. He waits for the perfect moment. The captain of this ship will steer them to victory after all. And it's just a stinger left. Actually, Vora finds a Vandal amidst that, and now would like to just keep it because this round only has 10 seconds left in it. So you head for safety.
And hard to do a lineup of a slower apparently here, because you're trying to get it through two smokes. It just lands at the doorstep of the C site, making it free for the side of Solid to just pick up those kills, unfortunately, for the side of TSM. Originally looked pretty good, though, as they were taking control of that C-mount. They understand here the TP coming out from DJZ, and he's going to play that very spot. You remember that highlight reel that comes out here for the VCL for Ascension? He gets a 3K off a Sheriff. I think it was against Winthrop trying to run through, so they just try to counteract that. They get the perfect trade on that side, but just couldn't activate it into the C site in the end because of a small fumble off the util of 7 here with the slower at the front. But bonus round for TSM on that previous one. Rifle run available here, and a fight back towards that C-mount where DJZ once again is trying to move forward. Oh no.
See, get marked. He's still standing. What?
Oh my.
The spam through? Timotino, the IQ is too big.
Oh my gosh. And that was one of the things that I'll add a question mark to into how you answer and solve that C-mount. We'll talk about it in a bit. The reset comes in into the mid round now. Looks like we're pulling back on that side. We're forcing the hand of Havoc to push forward. And he gets punished.
Wow, I thought that Vice Wall would have been more at the A lobby door than towards spawn. So that was almost a chance for Team Solid to strike when TSM didn't know. But Album Boy has their back. And TSM looking to re-hit C.
Great calls, breaking the ankles. Rafa wasted his util, his ult rather, to go towards the A side. No paranoia for the site now. TXS, you need a highlight reel.
Oh, just gets marked. Womp womp. Exactly. TSM are just one step ahead at all times. Every little hiding spot, TSM have sought it out. From DJZ, which back-to-back rounds, no dimensional drift because of these early kills. I think DJZ puts so much on himself to be that playmaker, and he's used to getting away with murder all the time. And TSM are just outthinking him.
Yeah. And this is a thing for TSM. I was wondering how you take control of this C-mount, especially when you're playing a Sova instead of a Fade. Because one of the good things that Winthrop are doing to control the C side on their attack side against this DJZ play over towards Mount is that they played a lot of the grav net from the Deadlock and the C's to overtake the back of that site of the C-mount while even haunting towards that front to really not give a chance for anybody to play through. And when the Allen drone pings the player towards that back of the mount, I was like, oh no, this should be a free kill coming out here for DJZ. Instead, you have that satchel on the top, you land on the top of the wall for Timotino, and you just spray down. And they just understood this positioning, and it almost seems like a playbook that they have been watching throughout the tournament to understand these positioning rotates coming out from DJZ and how do you stop him in these areas. And they're doing a great job punishing him in the last, I'd like to say even 3-4 rounds, because think again about that piss round. Owned on a 3 versus 1. That previous round on the walking forward by the drone. There's just too much in terms of different pieces of util that is utilized here by the side of TSM that's excellent on just punishing DJZ in these moments.
And we haven't gotten to see like the true potential of TSM's post plant because Team Solid almost lose the round before the spike even gets planted. You're getting first blooded, second blooded. And I can understand the thought of you don't want to let these Sentinels get set up. You want to try and surprise TSM. They've thrown out different ideas. And just DJZ's getting caught. Then up next, PXS gets caught by the Boombot. So at this point, I think you just don't overthink these early rounds and really bunker down, have these crossfires, outnumber TSM. Don't go for these solo hero plays that I know Team Solid are so good at. That's why I predicted them in this match. But I think you just need to break down the structure of TSM once they do get going and hope to stop them from planning in the first place, because Seven's walls on the post plant is not fun to deal with.
Definitely just looks like you're playing like the fundamentals of tactical FPS without the abilities. You know, when you're playing a 4 versus 5, you need to figure out where your opponents could be at. Somebody has to overextend and try to find where the gaps could be and take advantage of that so they could rotate and stack towards the right sites, which is why when Digizine's getting punished here on that C mound, Havoc is the one moving forward, and TSM just continues to do rather a great job of these 4-1s inserts.
Just dodging the Boombot! You drop this, Havoc? Well, you drop this L2 just like that in the blink of an eye. Team Solid are down 3. At least it won't be flawless for TSM. But we're off the round just started, and he's all by himself.
He's like, yeah, I'll be there at some point, friends. Couldn't really help out because I already wasted my ultimate on that previous round. But again, it comes down to the inserts that they had, the 4-1 split you had from TSM. You see Alvin Boy slowly walking forward towards that front B side. He gets the instant punish onto the door being opened, and I think that was Digizine opening that side on that C mount again. So it just comes to show how you're able to just understand these rotates on the side of Team Solid and just punishing him in every angle. Although it's still hard to do, I'd like to say right now on in the server. It's nice to call these out on paper, but you're still, hell, playing against Digizine when he's opening the door against you on front B side. You have to be on point on your end too for the side of Alvin Boy to be able to win that and making sure that you solidify the round here for Team TSM. So it's good to see that they're firing all cylinders on the top of the excellent calls coming out from Vora so far.
TSM have found so much success hitting C and A. I don't think we've seen B too much either. And at what point do you just play for retakes at B and just try to reinforce the sides of the map? I mean, it doesn't seem like the economy's in a good spot for Team Solid to bring out Knock, to bring out Noden, things that would really help spam down A, to opt out of C, whatever it is, or vice versa. This Team Solid can't afford the tools that would make things a lot easier.
The only thing they could afford now is playing around this Phantom. Almost Havoc wanted to buy a Guardian, but another one of those rounds, Sheriff comes through. And thankfully, we're going into round number 7 in the next one, where finally, potentially, Digizine's going to have the operator out. Maybe some sort of a pinch play if they could, depending if they could get an early pick. That Dimensional Drift could get a lot of info for the team so they could flood with the rest.
How to really test Alvin Boy and his strength to anchor, and guess what, TSM? They're all here. The power of friendship through spawn. Look at where Digizine's insert. Oh, he teleports out. Yeah, with the Sheriff. It's a tough position to be in. Oh, the high-low, like the swings. Yeah. It's so clinical from TSM. You don't give an inch to Team Solid. This could be flawless. And speaking of Odin's, now 7 has bought one, and that's one of his signature weapons on this very map, and on a lot of those maps. Something to note going forward.
Yeah, I'm still question marking that push out from Havoc behind the Prowler, thinking that maybe he gets a 1v1 at that spot because everything stayed really quiet for the side of TSM. So hoping that it was just a 1v1 versus Alvin Boy. Bad news, it was still a 1v1 and he still lost it, unfortunately. So Team Solid moving on out within the next round. We'll have to start stringing out these rounds because this composition, the way that they're scaling on this side, it's been hard for them to play against Winthrop too. Ali's been so good anchoring even backsides of A site because of the util on the side of Team Solid. Doesn't clear out really the backside on their end.
Hey, denying 2 weapons. What did I say? When Team Solid are on these lower buys, they can always kill at least 2. Because they know it's over, so they just focus on what's the best thing that I can do right now? Deny weapons. And now because they've just bought Sheriffs, I wonder if Team Solid can get their own Odin. I don't know about Opto, but that's kind of a big, powerful thing to not allow Team Solid to have, because they are so good with the ops, and to not be able to afford those, is hurting and limiting those win conditions.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, I think from the econ, you could even go glass cannon if you want to within the next round. Yeah, there you go. So he's going to bring it out here. Glass cannon operator for Digizine. He's going to try to pick up towards the C side, but this time he has support from 2 other players that are already getting pushed back.
You know that someone's been at the top of the smoke, and TSM, it was bait all along. They fire back. They've won every single C-mount fight. And Team Solid haven't learned their lesson. They've been trying to change things up. Just this time, Havoc and Rafa will be out of this. And how did GMD even get back here? Team Solid deal with the flank. Now they have to deal with the problem ahead of them, which is the op that connects on the Timotino's forehead. And wait a minute. 3 versus 5 comeback. Is it possible?
1 enemy remaining.
It's looking dire.
More difficult, yeah, especially now. Dimensional Drift comes out. I mean, that's going to give us some views. They should know where he's coming from no matter what, especially now that they blocked out towards that waterfall. Oh, look at all those pings. They definitely know where Digizine's coming from. And it's like, oh, wait, nobody opened a door at the beginning of the round here for Solid. Let me just go save my op, maybe.
The Steel Garden is crazy. Just trying to force some movements, and now you're just feeding the beast. Oh, he had to adjust. Dijazine went out of that corner without his gun out. That's crazy. At least the op is denied. Huge for TSM.
That's what we mentioned before. When it comes down to these moments, even though the macro looks very good for their opponents, the side of Team Solid, they will always have players that could turn it around. But the initial macro to try to take control of C-Mound, you had Rafa after a paranoia moving solo in front of the B site. You already have the TP moving away from Digizine. You have nobody left to support you on that crunch down towards that spawn. You got to stall at that point. If not, Rafa already lost that fight to Alvin Boy, that 1v1 on that front B side.
Team Solid keep testing the waters. And the current is choppy. And Havoc kicks things off, and now Alvin Boy has an op, and Odin's in the hands of TSM. The showstopper whistles past TSM, and they stay stoic. Now the Odin loud and proud as GMD leads the charge towards the A site. And Conan would have to come on the flank, and it would be marked by the Vise wall, so TSM yet again running away with their offensive half.
You know when we had that debate in terms of Riot nerfing abilities and whatnot, that also could be another one of those rounds where you can't use that as an example, because yes, there was chaos, but it was a huge ult round for the side of Team Solid where they were at Showstopper, Nightfall, trying to take mountain control, and somehow nothing of that hits. And then you have 7 spraying 2 with an Odin. And you spraying through the wall at the main side first. Nobody's pushing forward. Now they all scale back out. You have Alvin Boy cosplaying as Zelsis, opping on the attack side as a Vice, and they're just perfect in positioning and just thwarted the plans that Solid had to try to take control of Mounds. Somehow GMD, I think, even broke the timing of the Nightfall and gets that punish onto PXS. So, man, you now have a Brazil scoreline, unfortunately.
You're gonna make that joke.
It could have been such a huge swing round right there, especially with this. You can already see how we're being a little bit flustered on the side of TSS. That should have been a free kill 10 times over for Havoc, but it was such a labor kill. I mean, it just comes to show here right now that TSM are in full control of the series so far.
Just Team TSM have a response to everything. Team Solid have changed things up round after round. Taking over TSM smoke on the C side, pushing up for that A lobby. TSM counter that too. You just witnessed. They were not. It's like TSM do not cower from fights, and the desk had pointed out this in the past that TSM on LAN are a whole different. It's whole different animals that we're looking at here. I've never seen TSM play with such confidence, and it's like the stakes being this high has been reinvigorating them. And you would think the nerves, the crowd being against you, being so far from home would get into the heads of TSM, but this has been their playground, and this is their map pick after all, so they're really settling into this first half.
And you just saw here before we transition into the server, that's already the second timeout being utilized by Team Solid. So another one of those scenarios where map number 1, both of them used on the first half by Coach Bayo this time again. And they've been on the back foot the whole time for the Brazilian side. Now with this this mixed buy that you have, it goes back into what they've ironed out and how they want to manage their economy. Another one of those buys where the supporting cast, PXS and Conan, will go with rifles around the Sheriffs, and they're trying to go for the trap play on potentially an orb tap on the C site.
And any long-range duel that TSM could lose, which would be a long shot, 7 will just res. So for TSS to hold space or to win a fight and hold that space, so difficult to do with mostly Sheriffs. PXS at least has that hero Vandal. The wall at the staircase, he'll have a heads up on the challenge that is ahead. Paranoia right through 7, I believe. So TSM may just take a step. And Hunter's Fury, and 7 just shoves the Odin right in his face. But at least he'll trade. Resurrected back in. Timotino won't be missing in on the party. Team Solid trying to coalesce from all angles, and Dijazine has to trigger the device while there's no escaping, but Forrest trapped in there with him. Does not matter. A 4K for the Sentinel. Let's go, Alvin boy.
And watching the front line, scaling with the team, the wall gets activated, watches that flank. A big round for sure for Alvin boy. And I'd like to know here, with the round finishing, have we gotten a plan over for the side of Timotino after he got res? Because that would get him a showstopper for Team Solo Mid in the next round. Oh, look at those shots, though. So nice. Not missing a single one of those, and pixel shots on the top of heaven. And yet the plant did come through, so a big round coming out for TSM. And now they're going to throw them for a loop potentially here. Another conditioning on the side of the drone on the C site, but we're looking to finish towards B with the showstopper.
If you could get this off uncomfortable. No showstopper for you. The showmaker is here. Dijazine teleports out. And to take that mantle is Conan, along with PXS, the Prowler, to keep TSM at bay. And Conan finds the right time to strike. As TSM, for the first time, it feels like this round, are severely behind. And there's still an op in the picture. And you saw just how important that's been for Team Solid to create threat levels of their own. Now TSM have to wait for this Viper wall to come down.
You're oozing with money for TSM here, so trying to go for it, trying to isolate some fights, trying to force some weapons in the next round is the name of the game. Fortunately, they keep falling, and only Bora's back. Nice little right click towards the end of Flawless. That's a great start now off the timeout of Coach Bayo. And you can see here that Dijazine did an excellent job just trying to hide off the timing of the arc rose being thrown by Alvin boy, so as it doesn't get any audio cue on that flash, he gets a free pick onto Timotino, and then that just didn't allow TSM to really get the gears rolling into their potential B or C side split.
Now 2 rounds left in the half, and even Alvin boy has been picking up some of this op action, but no op for TSM. Still the showstopper drone. Dijazine. It's a very deja vu situation. No one home though. Is Rafa on the top of his perch, goes to shoot the drone. This is so awkward. What a punish from Alvin boy. There's a slow in the way. TSM victims of their own util, unfortunately. And now the Steel Garden. TSM kind of trying to buy that space as a reaction. And Team Solid have to back away.
Door gets open though. Here comes a brawl.
Oh, PXS, great jiggle around the mound there from Alvin boy, but reinforcements on the way from Team Solid. It's going to be a double push from Waterfall. Does Conan think this is winnable to try and sneak their way in with the Viper's Pit? Have to get a good spread. Would it even reach the high ground? TSM are playing from main, and looks like time will be on TSM's side. Team Solid not going to want to invest and not even want to fight this.
Good on TSM to stay tucked in too on that player advantage. So yeah, I mean, we talked about how it was important for Dijazine to get that op out. Got value out of it on that previous round. You want to keep it in for the last round of the half. And it's just unfortunate of what happened there for Rafa. That recon dart got so much value, but it's just initially the util being utilized by Vora. Not only to force the TP away, but that forces now Rafa to be the one responsible to break that dart. There was no third player to support, so he gets caught out in the open, pans down, and both of them not only lose their lives, but they lose site control over on the side of the C site. So now last round of the half, at least you're able to muster up a pretty good kill or a pretty good buy rather, and already an early ult on the C side to control them towards the up of Digizine on A.
Team Solid has funneled TSM exactly where they want them. Now Alvin Boy strikes at Digizine before the off shot could do damage. And Rafa will settle Timotino down. We're even 4-4 apiece. Havoc has a chance to cut him off. The TSM sneak into the smokes. At nightfall, TSM are exposed. But really, you're trapped in there with him. TSM win every duel. They find the back of the heads of Team Solid. And now Conan, I mean, he did his job. He seals off C. There's 2 other sites. Now 3 gunfights he has to win to give the best case scenario to Team Solid. And to do so under not a lot of time. Just that shock bolt alone is going to distract Conan to give an easy kill here to Alvin Boy. Maybe I caster cursed it.
And if worse comes to worse, he has to tap Spike and have a crossfire set up. This is an impossible task for Conan.
This feels like an impossible map to win for Team Solid when you have to go into the second half. 10-2 for TSM. But my hope is that you're hoping that this double duelist really kicks into gear on the side that it's supposed to do well on, right?
Yeah, but it's a tough start because even these op shots, unorthodox for Digizine is missing. So to look at the second half, it will be definitely difficult. But before we get into that second half, we have a chance to speak with Shion, who's standing by with Milao.
Dead race. Oh my god!
Vou tentar. Eu estou aqui com o Xion. Uma salva de palmas pro Xion. Tá bom, amigo?
Fala, galera. Salve.
Salve. Bom, I'm here with Xion. He's a professional player. E, amigo, da sua experiência como pro aí, como é que faz pra sair dessa situação 1-0 pros caras, 10-2 e nada dá certo, mano?
Cara, é conversar, não perder a cabeça, tipo, manter a calma. E assim, tá 10-2, mas dá pra virar.
Dá pra virar. Ask him, what can you do as a pro player in a situation like this? You lost the first map, you're losing 10-2, and you have to stay calm, you have to stay in the game, stay focused. E assim, os caras é bom. Timotino é muito bom, tá todo mundo jogando muito bem, mas o menino também é bom. Nessas horas nem trocar tiro tá funcionando, você faz o quê, amigo?
Cara, eu tenho um pedido.
Faça.
Um pistolzinho só.
Por favor.
Um pistolzinho bônus também, se der.
Por favor, um pistol bônus. He said you just want 2 things. One pistol round and one bonus round. Valeu demais, amigo, divirta-se. Bora pra esse game, temos que virar, pelo amor de Deus.
Brazil is rallied for the second half because they're going to need a miracle. But first, Team Solid need a pistol.
And it'll be difficult because, again, they're not looking like they're shooting as hot as they usually can here for Team Solid, especially in another scenario where they're trailing behind in the second half, but this time even more. A 10-2 half now in favor of TSM. Shion just mentioned they need the pistol, needed the bonus. I mean, that's kind of obvious, but it's hard for them to really potentially get good value or good entries onto the site if Alvin Boy is playing the way that he did. 2 4Ks he had in the previous round, attack site off, but also such a good anchor for the side of TSM. So you can already see for Team Solid, they're trying to avoid that right away and starting off the A side where there's still 3 players of TSM there.
Yeah, that was a big issue for Team Solid when they went up against Winthrop, is making sure you check that Vise util and really get as much out of TSM as you can, but TSM have won every pistol so far. And with the scoreline, you just don't look at the big old 10. Oh, that ping. All 3 of Team Solid are now stuck on an island called Rubble, and TSM are just gonna kind of let them settle in despite having that information.
Yeah, just a stop and go. You're probably going to wait for the cycle of the wall Gonna trap door. The 1v1 now comes down to potentially Conan and Alvin Boy. That's gonna dictate the rotate back over towards B if Alvin Boy overextends. But already you could see so much map control being taken by TSM on their end. These 3 players on A site have to be ready for the crossfires.
Nobody in tree, thankfully. Prowler, though, will reveal TSM being within that site and up close. So, nade. Oh, was that Havoc's nade? Oh, go. Oh, golly. Oh, Vora. Okay, exposes them even more. It's not a good start. Oh, Vora runs out of bullets, and someone else has to pick up the mantle. A little silly from Team Solid, but it's up to Conan in a 1 versus 4 with just GMD tagged up. Well, the spike stolen away, and well, death taxes and TSM winning pistol, that's for sure.
So far in this series, yeah. That's just unlucky though for PXS when it comes down to the RNG of the right click classics. You just see him jumping and right clicking and just spraying that he's able to take down his opponent right in front of him, Bora, who's excellent on these picks. A little bit of body block trying to run through the doors, and that was probably not a good reaction for Team Solid to try to move in and really take control of that B site. No matter what, you had the checkmate from the late lurk from Alvin Boy, and unfortunately what Shion was mentioning, you need the pistol for Solid, you don't get it, so now you potentially have to just force for the rest of the half.
Gonna be an uphill battle. At least you set up for the long game by grabbing the orb, and TSM are just gonna spam through the box. Gotta be careful of that decoy. But Team Solid, were they even heard? Teleporting into the smoke? Oh, Rafa is killed as soon as he emerges. TSM just don't give them a gap to work with. There's only gaps within Team Solid. Jeez, so flawless for TSM. Not literally, because Timotino's dead, but, you know, overall.
And if anything, the biggest gap is a scoreline as well. 9-point lead for TSM, and you guarantee now the 12th. And for Conan, you're playing for the OT. They've invested onto Stingers and Sheriffs. Look at the buy that they have. This Outlaw is so important for the hands of Digizine in the next round. As you're looking at the next round, that's half armor for Timotino. And potentially, if we're not investing for the rest of the team, could be very doable here for Team Solid in the next round. But you also mentioned no gaps on how they're holding that defensive line for TSM. Look how GMD just danced around those smokes. Remember that. He doesn't even go inside of it when we had a TP, if I'm not mistaken, from Rafa in there. And he has teammates support and to just drop everybody down.
10 seconds
Havoc
left.
is not found his footing, 3-12. And yesterday against Winthrop, he dropped 64 kills over 3 maps. Like, Havoc was having a highlight reel, a 6K ace. And for him to get checked like this by TSM is not going to bode well for Team Solid's chances, especially if they start the series 0-2. And it's feeling dire with how this second half is shaken up.
You have Sheriffs around the Outlaw, Stinger for Havoc. You're trying to leverage exactly what you were mentioning before. A slow start from Havoc, but you still need him to just pull up his pants and just try to push through this tidal wave that is TSM, just blocking all the lanes, not allowing Solid to really get any map control of Lotus. Now they spread across the map on a default. And TSM is also just on a default on the 1-1-3. You understand a lot of these pressure on all these different angles on that side. They're at least not overextending here for TSM to fight back.
TSM still up across that finish line. Alvin Boy brought to his knees, and Rafa confirms it. It's Team Solid crossover. The smoke dissipates. Moore has a chance. GMD keeps B on lock as PXS presents himself. Gets GMD to back away, but it's not a solid alternative for TSS. And it's just not looking good when Timotino is the tip of the spear of this North American roster. And it's all up to PXS. And he's been a star on the initiator, biggest enabler of Digizine. But even Titans can fall. And TSM gotta finish the job, and Timotino, his job is done. He's done more than enough in this series so far and in this map.
Where are you?
for PXS to try and brawl with an outlaw. He'll try and maybe change his gun here. No. There's the high-low, and there it is. The cheer squad arrives 13-2 for TSM. Holy cow!
Now, this makes it even harder for Solid right now, because remember, it's a BO5, yes, but if it definitely goes into some sort of a reverse sweep, it is still bind as that 5th map. I was just mentioning it before, you needed to at least get one of these two right now for Team Solid to try to move forward in this series and bring that confidence, but all of that confidence keeps getting shattered by players like Timotino so far. So many multi-kills coming out here from both Timotino and Alvin Boy. We talked about the starter and the closer, and those two guys look unstoppable this series.
I don't know how you stop TSM. You need these duelists to lock in. Brazil, the crowd needs to get behind them. Their partners are in the crowd. I'm sure they're going to have a nice break to kind of settle in and things. But Ascent is the next map, and one of Dijazin's weaker performance in Ascension was against Envy. 7-13 loss. We'll see if they're able to download the counter to this after this break.
Player standing. One enemy remains. One enemy remains.
One cross or what? One flank, right side up.
Game changers. It's about competition, pure happiness. It's like a crazy experience. We're making history. It means so much to us. It's good to be back.
I guess you know what I've been looking for, success.
The beauty of gaming is it doesn't matter who you are. And as long as I'm good enough,
Everybody's getting a 4K.
I can go as far as I want.
That's what I like to see, baby.
全世界都会知道我们的厉害。
Exactly what Core needs to do. Trotch, and then there was Tristan to Aya.
Going for the evening.
TSM are one map away from finding themselves in the grand finals here in VCT Ascension Americas. And a second map in the series too, that if you're looking at confidence levels going into it, looks like they could be able to get this done in 3, because heading into Lotus for the second map, Ash, it was just TSM all the way, 13-2. This was just dominance from the start.
It really was. Not 2 rounds to be chained together there by Team Solid. For the side of TSM, I feel like you just see their protocols working out so well on this map. It's something that we praise them, I think, across like all maps that we've seen from them. But like they're just so good at like looking to isolate those players on the side of Team Solid, understanding how those crunches are going to work and always making the most out of their utility. Timotino was there constantly creating that space, satchelating forward off the back of the flashes either from Alvin Boy or the paranoia from GMZ. And then the rest of the team is just so good at following up with that spacing, swarming around these players for Team Solid that I think it was really hard for them to even find those opportunities to play together because of how good at TSM were at putting them on those islands.
That game for TSM, it just looked so easy. Everything was going according to plan. Everything, all those executes were exactly the way that they wanted to on that attack side. For the defense that we talked of Team Solid, and even some of the things that they could punish, like that BMD going towards C, as well as some of the Rebel fights, it just wasn't working out. Once again, they were a bit reliant on DJSN finding those openings, and even if he was getting a few, nobody was able to follow up after he got traded, and he was getting traded every single time. Timotino was so good at punishing it, but also everybody was quite hyper aware that on this defense, DJSN, that one win condition was going to be holding the operator, and it didn't really matter if it was up close on that B side, if it was as well trying to win that roll fight with the operator. He was just getting shot down, and it was just a perfect game for TSM. It felt like everything was going the way that they wanted to when they were going for those executes.
Yeah, we didn't even get to see like the full force of the strength of TSM on that defensive side either. How good 7 is on that stage with slowing down that Rebel control and being able to take that space there. And you think about the fact that for TSM, they've won every single pistol round so far in this series. When you're looking at their run in Ascension in total, they've won 16 out of 22 pistols. Now you're adding another 4 on top of that. It's just insane to think about how good they've been at converting that. We did see those moments though from Team Solid where they don't have that good of a pistol round win rate here throughout Ascension, but they have been really good at converting those ecos. We've talked about DJ Zine, the impact that he's been able to have in those moments. We almost saw that today in that second round here of Lotus where he got that 4K, but unfortunately lost the 1v1 up against 7. But the thing is, in those moments, they're also just starting down, right? These pistols are so important for TSM to be able to set themselves up for success in that first half. I want to see a little bit better protocoling from Team Solid because now it's do or die. They're on this last map of Ascent, and if for TSM to continue forward with pumping those kinds of statistics out to start off on the right foot, this is terrifying.
When you look at the third map, it's terrifying for a mirage of reasons. One, if Alvin Boy is having the series that he has been having, especially seeing that Lotus performance, it's going to be a dangerous time because Alvin Boy is someone that a lot of talk about him when he joined this roster, but when it's just Timotino all the time and 7, we haven't really been able to talk about him. But like, Dan, just look at these numbers. Like Alvin Boy was just popping off like the up 4K. It's just a pillar on the team.
He was incredible. Ends up 22-6 in that map alone. And what I like the most is that it's a big contrast to what you saw when TSM was playing against Envy on this map. Envy were constantly punishing and going as close as they could to that vice wall, so that even if you're clearing, you're not really expecting them to be already there for the fight, whether it was only Kinsera or somebody else. But this time around, it was Alvin Boy that was not only really good at holding the flank, but also when they had that side control, it was him with the Vandal, with the Phantom as well, with the Operator for one of those runs where he gets a 4K with a few of the players trying to come from that baby door and also from the flank. Every single opportunity that he had to shut down some of the players coming from different angles, he was able to do so. And again, it's a big contrast to what happened before. He was not punished at all, but on top of that, he was able to be a bit more aware of how he wanted to play the map.
And Alvin Boy, a pop-off performance on Lotus. And last time we saw him on Ascent, he was just someone you could not get past. And now looking at the third map in the series, with TSM being on this series point, 1 map away from finding themselves into the grand finals, a lot of pressure now on Team Solid. And Ash, when you're looking at the trends throughout the series, which is a Timotino that hasn't really been shut down, and Alvin Boy that's running amok, a pistol that can't get one, It looks pretty tough for the Brazilian team here. They're going to have to do a drastic turnaround to have a chance in this series.
Yeah, it's really scary. But just like that interview that we had at halftime during Lotus with Cheyenne, we just want to see a pistol round win here for Team Solid. Like, start things off on the right foot. I think what's worrying here about Ascent as well is you're looking at another one of those double Sentinel compositions we're expecting on the side of TSM, right? With that Cypher, with that Sage once again. And it seems like Team Solid kind of struggle up against those comps. We have those expectations of them trying to pull out some of that util earlier on, trying to deny those opportunities to really delay into the mid round. And we did see those adjustments being made on Sunset, but it was a lot later in that first half. I need to see that proactivity right out of the gates here from Team Solid.
Against Shinden and against Winthrop University, it looked like Team Solid was the best team that we had on Ascent in the tournament. But when they faced Envy, they couldn't get anything going. DJ Sin was trying to make some hero plays that were not working out. He was getting punished over and over again. He was not being able to play the game that he was able to do before. And because they already punished him in that map of Lotus, I'm scared of how much they can punish him now once again, starting on the attack side that they started with when they were facing Envy, and also having a DJ Sin that has to activate. One of the win conditions that we mentioned is a Team Solid that has to be very confident to start us off, whether it's, you know, those pistols that they haven't been able to get, or to have a quick recovery when things start to go wrong. And we haven't seen it map 1, map 2, but this is the last chance to make a reverse sweep, to move to the grand final, to be that representation for Brazil, potentially not only in the grand final but in VCT Americas. And that pressure is going to be in every single one of those players to reset from what happened in the last years, but also reset from what happened in this map of Lotus.
And that's where we're really expecting, though, also that veterancy, that experience to come to light here for Team Solid. I think a lot of pressure already that we've talked about on DJZ, and I've also got my eyes on the KO on the side of PXS to find value with those 0 points, knowing that they have both Seven and Alvin Boy on those Sentinels on defense, trying to break up a lot of those trap plays, break up those choke holds that they have on the defensive side to create those openings for DJZ to pop off.
The win conditions have been set. The players, Team Solid, need to win out this map. Or is it going to be a TSM to clean sweep in this series and make it an all North American finals? It's time to head to Ascent. Series point for TSM with your casters, Vansili and Lemon Kiwi.
Thank you, Sierra. Yeah, TSM have a date with Envy, and I think Team Solid got to give them more than just a warm-up, but these last 2 games, Vance, have been quite one-sided.
Yeah, this third map, Team Solid has to start being the third wheel to this date and try to just, you know, foil the plans of TSM at least for a bit. And as we preface this series when we walked into it, I was saying that all 10 servers were firing all cylinders going into this game. It's just unfortunate right now that a lot of them on the side of Team Solid has cooled down, been iced out, and haven't really found their footing throughout this whole series so far. That being Havoc and Digizine so far, and hopefully they could do so on the attack side. They play the most standard comp, but this allows for you to play a little bit more brawly as well, especially when TSM is playing only a Jet on Team Latino.
Team Solid be able to outnumber Seven, knowing the Sage is ahead of them. The flash beautifully placed by PXS. It's been a highlight of their Ascent success. And I know maybe going up against an Envy, it's anomaly, but now this is extraordinary from Havoc. Talk about a turnaround for Team Solid to head to a pistol win. Bodes well to change the current of this series. Vora, GMD left though, coming through different sides of the site. Gets a lucky peek there at PXS. Vora is exposed. They can act as a distraction. Dijazine looks to the right as GMD though, he's already been exposed and tries to take the duels where he can. And Vora can't finish off what he started. So guess what? Team Solid can win pistols.
And that's what you need. And also a great start and reaction on how they played that 4 versus 2 on that retake for the side of TSM. Because despite the first one dying on the left side of Dice, the fact that he dies, it allows PXS to throw that knife and cancel all that utility that was still available for Vora to maybe get some even more value. Look at how much HP are remaining for some of these players. Shock Dart, a second one would have been huge. But they go aggressive in the pistol for TSM on that mid to B split, and it looked perfect. Now TSM are back into the pistol round, stacking 4 players on the A side, gambling a hit on that end, and just leaving Alvin Boy alone towards this B site. Whereas for TSS is also a very similar approach to the pistol round, where you might try to pop flash into control of market, but they are respecting this potential stack of TSM, so it isn't as quick as it was on the first round.
Gotta be careful at every step. You don't know what stack you could be running into from TSM. Knowing that 7 was in this exact spot before. You don't have that slow orb immediately coming out. And you don't want to be caught fighting in the middle of that. Team Solid giving a lot of respect over, but a duel at range that Team Latino laughs off. Still got injured from the encounter. Team Solid have drawn TSM to the opposite side of the map. So Alvin Boy will wait and listen and even go for a peek. Alvin Boy, the bravery on this guy after what, dropping like 400 ACS. I kind of see it. But Team Solid looking to bring a lot into the next round.
Spike planted.
They got a dink onto Jazine's peeking out. You're definitely seeing TSM being set up here for exits, and a different approach that they have on their eco rounds too. I mean, this is the first eco round that we kind of see from TSM throughout this series after finally losing their first pistol here. But their approach isn't going to be buying a lot of these shares, these second round buys. They want to try to leverage more rifles and utility for these trades once they get their money right.
Enemy down.
How does he still get one?
Yeah. A lot of TSM are winning these 1v1s before they get traded. So worried about more orbs that TSM could collect here with Conan and Dijazine below half health. Here's TSS swinging. He wins easily off the Vandal at the back of the site. Even Conan gets a kill with how low he was. So that's good. 3 weapons into the bonus.
And that was close too. 2 of them were so low that I think it was 2 classic body shots coming in from the last player over at TSM would have dropped 4 players on the side here of Solid. I think if you're looking at it, it means that their next bonus round isn't going to be the cleanest unless, in pure style of, let me just fight you face to face, we're going to go for full investments, and indeed we are. We got rifled across the board, Guardian, Stinger. They just want to try to snowball this as much as they can. Big risk.
Wow, no flash from PXS. Just makes it easy for Team Otino. I don't know how much Team Solid can rely on these contact plays. They were losing a lot of these util-free fights against TSM back on Lotus. PXS have to do more for that mid control in the future. It's TSM of a strong start with rifles.
I don't even know if it was intentional, because Team Otino did have support on the top of the market, but never really went out to break that dart. Team Otino let himself get scanned to force the players to swing out and just wins the duels. That's just overconfidence coming out once again for the defensive side, the North American team. Looking to have a clean start here on their rifle round. And that also might stall and stop Solid from trying to get anything done for the rest of this round. They need these rifles moving on to the next, especially now that they lost 2 heavy investments at the very beginning.
Getting the orb out of the picture is nice. Shock bolts thrown. TSM busy.
30 seconds
now it's a
left.
trade. The rifles start to drop, and there's only 1 Vandal. So Rafa, clean against Team Otino. Need to silence that Canadian. Getting a little too hype over there on the TSM camp, which is funny because 7 gets more hype for everyone else on TSM. Team Solid rally for one final time. 11 seconds. Mora takes care of business.
Man, and even if it was a 4 versus 2 or whatever it was still a 1 versus 2 on site for Vora, and he has been awesome in the clutches. Remember when Dan was highlighting to one of the best IGL, fragging IGLs that we currently have going into Ascension? The way that he pivots and moves around, bad spacing on the side of Solid so that he could isolate these 2 fights instead of them playing the buddy system and going for an instant trade to at least try to get a plat down. And as we mentioned, I thought it was going to be a broken economy for the side of Team Solid, but I think a lot of them invested into small shields on that previous round, allowing to have another rifle round here.
Oh, 7 is such a thorn in their side. Poking and prodding at Team Solid. They're left at a deficit, trying to just get through a main. Just Give us an orb, please. Give us a chance. It's Havoc lurking. That could give him exactly that. Especially with GMD. One flick away and he's toast. Maybe he can be bait for Vora. Give him the Hunter's Fury. Team Solid have one of their own. And the spike drop right at the doorway. That's terrible. You don't have a smoke, but you're just gonna have to go in blindly if it takes that. As Havoc starts to pressure, PXS needs him by his side. As the spike goes down, the recon or just the reveal on TSM kept them stuck so that the spike could go down. So there is a chance if Team Solid play the clock.
They're once again isolated, playing their lives to try to play the pulse plant. Havoc watching heaven. Timoteo is about to walk out.
Get a lucky headshot on Timotino. Great reaction from PXS. 1v1 against Vora. Oh, the swing, but Vora's just better. You saw what he did last round, and he delivers for TSM yet again.
Oh, but those hero plays were a very nice attempt for both PXS and Havoc there. And Havoc has been having a hot start. You mentioned the 3K on the piss round and almost being able to trade off with his teammates when they're once again at a deficit this round. That big 1v1 in a neural theft, knowing that to get that space. And that free kill that you just saw from Vora on to, I think that was Conan, right? Playing this Sova. It's just unfortunate, but it's also showing how good it is for TSM to throw that smoke on the right side. So you have to force the Owl Drone to clear up into the A site and not allow it to get too much of a deep path and to get the full information on an A. So they have to walk in on contact, giving it a huge advantage for TSM on that round. And Vora closing it in.
Jumping away and right into the Timotino Outlaw. As he's half buys, he always has that. Team Solid just hoping to get an orb, but at what cost? Now they have to scatter away and rethink how they're going to approach this one.
Yeah, Timotino got more damage done by Vora's ult than he did from his opponents from posting it up at logs with that Outlaw. But so much bait and switch came through just to create a huge punish on a defensive side. It's Alvin Boy playing selfless. 2 nice kills coming out from Timotino. Hunter's Fury gets expensed, but you're still into a territory where you can start cycling ults very soon on a defensive side to try to counteract what Solid has going into the next round.
Well, it is almost Halloween, so you get the trick or treat for some orbs. Try to see if you can wake up to a round win.
Watching here.
But when it rains, it pours, and pass will repeat itself. Timotino still is the outlaw. And what was that? Fly on the wall. Swatted. No waits for Timotino. PXS will take his gun and show him how it's done, but against 4, that would be an incredible game of Duck Hunt. And Alvin Boy ends that quick.
How does the young Timotino get value from that spot? Rafa gets the TP in the back. Nobody hears it. Alvin Boy sees him just around the corner and calls it for his teammate to be like, get ready for the back. But he's about to get hit by the paranoia and avoids it on time to get that pick. Cloudburst on the ground, almost gets a trip kill with the shorty on the last 2. But dude, this guy's different. Timotino's hasn't been, for me at least, on the radar at the beginning of last year. But I think ever since joining TSM, he's been finding a spot right now, filling the shoes of Sim. And actually probably outgrowing him now.
Oh, Alvin Boy is so cooked. Great Hunter's Fury for Conan. Dijazine dashing through the smoke, and GMD is a menace. Team Solid. The win condition was there. They had forged their way onto the site, and GMD cuts them at the heel. Holy cow. What can GMD not do?
And Timotino, again, does not care that he's getting revealed by any type of utility by Conan. Sits out in the open while he's being pinged out by the Owl Drone and just trusts that his timing and his reaction time is going to be good to win against Conan, and it did. But yeah, these site smokes all over the site, utilizing the Cloudburst as even an extra obstacle against Digizine, and he still picks up 3 kills on such a huge, expensive round by Solid to try to convert the 3rd round. And what was so loud since the pistol has been quiet once again. Team Solid starting to crumble now and back into a buy that they're trying to take control of middle with.
4 in a row for TSM, just when you thought, okay, the pistol for Team Solid. This one's gonna be different, guys. And the wall up. Havoc 6 feet under. Slow orb. Everywhere that Team Solid want to go, 7 lurks in their heads rent-free. Makes it so Team Solid can't really execute fast. Even if they'd want to. Always got to worry about 7 and what he puts out first.
This is being adapted without even calling a timeout for TSM. We'll talk about that in a second here as Solid are going to try the Hail Mary. Commit towards the A site and fight on Evan.
On the backside, thinking that's where the op would sit. We're going to find out the hard way. Oh, Team Latino surprise. Team Solid have a chance. They struck at the weakness of TSM. They come from behind. GMD has the anchor. He's good for 2. We have a duel to settle this round to see if the TSM win streak stops here. Can Team Solid have a comeback? Because the deficit will only grow bigger from here. And Conan,
1 enemy remaining.
it's hailing from above. Rafa has a good start, and Conan ends it.
We were a bit overzealous there on that 2 versus 2. After you get the surprise from 7 onto the planner, and deciding to just continue to spray off the, from the top wall as if you're playing Rainbow Six. And then he gets punished by Rafa for running through the smoke. But again, the adaptation for TSM on the fly on these defaults that Solid are doing on these 1-3-1s, knowing that they're taking a lot of mid control in the first place and it's not being taken by TSM, they go for the extremity pushes. You have great value coming up from Team Latino from that pick, but that 2v2 was saved here by the loud Rafa, the IGL. After, again, just an overzealous peak from
What a
7.
hype merchant, too, from Havoc, or Conan, sorry. Saw how much that meant to Team Solid. We'll do it without their captain, no. TSM find another first blood. Nop was bought yet again. It's going to get more difficult without Alvin to hold things down. Neural step, though, thrown. Havoc and Team Solid know what's ahead of them. And look, they're quick to place the crosshairs on Team Otino. The star of TSM dims. But GMD, he's had his pop-off moments too, and he is still around.
Spike planted.
Trying to go for res.
That'll help a lot. Making sure that doesn't get baited either. They'll have to just eat the recon from Conan. Havoc's ready for that cross. Team Otino's gonna stack if he swings! Finds the target he was looking for! Oh, you thought Conan had the right timing. He found the sides of TSM's.
My God.
My God, but TSM still as a unit. Continue on.
I was having a small question mark where why do we try to choose Team Latino to res when he's already used his Blade Storm and only has an op to retake, yet still gets value out of it. Havoc decided to swing out to say, I went red hot this round. I got a 3K, opened up the site just like this. I'm sure I could take another one. And unfortunately, as he gets punished, that's all that space. He was that check mark to be able to get the backstab if players are running through. And I guess he got pushed out from the wall bang of 7 here with the Odin. That was probably why. But man, what a nice retake once again from TSM, and another early timeout on the first half. Coming out now for Team Solid with elimination on the line for the team you see in front of your eyes.
I think it's about the team just getting composed, because I felt like Team Solid had such good swings and they just couldn't win it against TSM. We're just laser focused today. I don't know what it is with TSM, and you wouldn't put consistency and TSM in the same sentence when this year started, but now more than ever, TSM have shown that they're the better team. They've beaten Envy a few times. They took that loss yesterday, but they knew they didn't come in with the right game plan. But when TSM grind their way in, man, there is no stopping them. And they've already demonstrated that from a 13-5 to a 13-2. It only gets better. But Team Solid, now more than ever, need to find a way to crack this plot armor of TSM.
Yeah, I feel right now that the fast pace that they have on that pistol round was probably a great thing that they could start leveraging a little bit more. But if not, it probably has to be on one of those, hey, Havoc's finding entries here. Let's not try to be like, oh, let's just hit this site. keep those players inserted, try to go for some punishes on these rotates, and really use the clock in your favor, because you're getting all of these first bloods and picks right before the minute mark. So there's still a lot of Valorant in that round to be played with. And now with the, 5-man death bubble that they have, are getting punished the way that they are in the post plans when it comes down to even gun scenarios. They're gonna have to rethink this. And there you go. It starts off. The L drone comes out from Conan. The pivot towards the A site. It's a weak side where they have a 4-2 on that hit, and finally an opener.
Ooh, a double swing. That Team Solid. Wait, they're winning this, guys. Could be a thrifty. They are just one of the better teams when it comes to those sheriff buys. And Team Latino needs to regain control of the situation. He heads to heaven, wants to send Team Solid there, and Dijazine ready to hunt. He doesn't care if you see him. And now it's the duck away. 15 HP! The spray from Rafa is enough! And the thrifty, the recovery of these weapons, it's huge for Team Solid.
Another one of those scenarios where it almost looks like Sunset again, where the timeout was supposed to be for the next round where they have rifles to work with. But this time, they did a great job at least ironing out 2 rounds, trying to get value off at least a plant from faking that B site. And somehow it comes down to a great opener from, I think it was TSS, onto 7 on that right side of the A site, and GMD couldn't really do anything solo on A when you're being pinched in from the front, the back of the Jazine with the blade storm on the heaven, and even towards tree. Nice little hit towards the end, a thrifty that is much needed for the Brazilian team. And finally, at the timeout, it was stoic players, no facial expression. It almost looked like they were zen, but they were definitely quaking in their boots inside. And finally, we're seeing some smiles and some confidence here. Nice little pick. There you go. That's PXS from tree onto 7.
And if Team Solid can scale from there, when the crowd gets behind them, they get really hype. Team Solid, they play better and better. And you saw when they went up against Winthrop how much the hype merchants can really help this team play with even more confidence. Now the thrifty, you're already breaking apart TSM. And Rafa, captain yet again, punishes 7. With the Sage out of the picture, you don't have these annoying walls, these annoying slows that have been hindering Team Solid. And Rafa punishes again.
Look at the insert. This is what we wanted. No more of those, hey, we opened up site, let's just push through. We have players cutting rotations now, and they're dropping one by one. It could be a flawless coming through until Team Latino gets this pick, but this finally looks like a good Team Solid punishing the overconfidence and over-aggression of TSM at the beginning of that B main.
To get the op down to where TSM's economy is at. I don't know if they could buy another one, but hey, what's important is the scaling. Team Solid, they're looking better every round. And to just get the morale up, I think is everything at this point.
That spray was just to see if anybody else was going to peek through that you saw after the first Odin kill from Rafa came across, and punishing TSM with 7's own Odin is something satisfying if you're a fan here of Team Solid and you're seeing how this is being played. And yeah, I was questioning to see if NBS would call a timeout because you're still in a lead 2-0 in the series. You already forced out a timeout on the side of Team Solid earlier on. And you probably still think that you have the confidence in the game plan to keep things going, but with the way things ended at the beginning of that B main, where you have 2 players that get caught off guard, Vora gets pinged while he's trying to retreat and gets killed as on a retreat. That definitely comes to show that NBS needs to call something for TSM to try to clean things up a little bit here on the defensive side. Because again, this is technically supposed to be heavily defender-sided. And they allowed here Team Solid to already tie it up 5-5.
For the first time, it feels like Team Solid have been able to expose and punish those mistakes from TSM. And in the earlier rounds, like, Team Solid would catch TSM looking the wrong way, and then TSM would 180 them, and you're like, I don't think TSM can do any wrong. But now things can go very wrong. We have a tie game after a 4-2 start from TSM. And we'll see if that timeout was enough to ice out Team Solid's momentum, as it's going to be a mid-skirmish.
Yeah, Nico, you have now for TSM. Marshall for Timotino is trying to look down towards the cat. He just tries to go for a pop shot as he gets pinged out by the owl drone here on the attack site. Oh, sorry, a ping from the recon. Going for it again.
Oh.
That was close.
Because of that smoke, PXS couldn't even follow along with it. Don't want to walk into this trap. It's not the outlaw, but it can still do good damage. Team Solid have the advantage now, and Team Solid have like that heaven control to wrap around through the backside, but to take care of GMD, that's the final boss of the A site, and Conan finds the perfect timing. Gets the advantage going. Havoc surprises Vora. Make sure that there's not going to be any alternative for TSM. This is a Team Solid round.
That was a nasty shot by Havoc. And another one tap onto 7. Okay, you don't want this man to start warming up here. Havoc is looking like he's prime corrode Havoc versus Winthrop University with those shots. Again, I don't think there was a cage Q on the first player trying to lean in towards that wall, but the fact that he understands that and looks through and continues and confirms the kill, I think that was on Vora. Right over here. That was so nice, but look at the shot. Oh, what a flick.
I wanted to see this Havoc on Lotus. Now this is a version of Havoc we wanted to see. Better late than never. Now Timotino has an op. It'd be a lot deadlier than that Marshall. I think Team Solid very scared about that mid control. You would really need PXS to enable this, but he's got the spike, so he doesn't want to be too crazy.
He is so confident.
Spike down.
He is so confident. He didn't have dash anymore and still decides to walk out. And he did exactly the same thing with his Marshall the previous round.
Boy, this lead gonna be closed very soon. Spike taking a shortcut thanks to Rafa.
I know
the rest of the team join him. Off now for Dijazine to watch over Timotino. You don't want to be overconfident either to push into the territory of Team Solid, not without help. And GMD has a paranoia. How does he want to place this? 2 staircases to push into. Seeing they're just going to cross the sight lines. And GMD opens things up. Team Solid got to worry. Time is the only thing they have going for them. It's Rafa with the paranoia of his own. Now they're in the driver's seat, and Havoc is done with TSM shenanigans. TSM don't have time, and Havoc closes out the round 7-5.
Oh my god. The shots coming out from Havoc in the last 2 rounds elevates the 3K that he had on the pistol round. And remember, I said there was going to be probably a shaky start, rough around the edges, but with the way things have been going for TSM in the last 2 maps, it looked like there was no way here for Team Solid to start coming back. But Havoc opened up the B site like that. Havoc starting to activate. You're going to have to start playing much more cleaner than that here for TSM. If not, that 11-1 lead that you had against Envy is the least of your worries against a team that's facing in front of you in Team Solid.
You saw how loud that crowd is, and we're going to go check in with those fans during the halftime.
Eu tô no meio do povo! Eu tô maluco! Olha isso! Tá lindo demais, a torcida vai empurrando! Eles vão sentindo toda essa energia! Tá dando! Eu acho que vai dar, mano! Eu acho que vai dar! Quem que é o menor quente, amiga?
É ele, né?
É ele!
Não, ele é o menor muito quente!
Nosso maridão! Vamos! O Havoc tá amassando, amiga!
Ele é quente, igual o DG!
Então é isso, todo mundo fazendo muito barulho que a Team Solid vai buscar esse reverse sweep. E VCT eu ficando por aqui, amigo. Não sei se eu volto, não sei se eu tenho voz pra depois, mas vai daí que nós vamos virar.
It's great to hear from all the partners of Team Solid who have not given up. They've been on this journey to I think DJZine, Havoc's partners, the fans from Brazil. There's a couple TSM fans in there. I know you can count them, Vans. It's not too big of a number for you.
2. If anything, I don't want TSM to win pistol, because if not, chat's gonna start erupting with the scoreline. And it probably could not happen, because with, again, the way that Havoc has definitely started stepping up to the plate in this first half of this third map of the series, this could have potentially easily been a story that finishes in a 3-0 with such a great start from Team Solo Mid. But now on the attack, TSM, it doesn't really look like they're going to try to go for any type of splits, because they're not playing with the KOs. They can't be as explosive to go for the market control. So the walk contact towards B main could be the play. It's going to get stalled by the util of Havoc. And for DJZine, it almost looks like he might want to try to walk down if he sees nothing on top mid.
Where that trip is too would be a good kill opportunity for Conan.
There's
It's
a
like
cam.
Team Solid setting themselves up for success. No cam, quick hit, quick shot from DJZine. First blood. Welcome to the B site, boys. TSM down bad.
They waited way too late, or reacted way too late on the camera. We saw it from the POV of even the second or third player walking into B main. So Havoc got his whole team ready. He shock darted, got some picks, and now it comes down to hero play. 7 trying to move forward.
Wanted to try and counter if the recon was going to get shot. Good on Conan to play safe, but safe no more. TSM, wait a minute. They're known for their pistols and their resilience. It's up to Vora and Alvin Boy. Got the IGL in the picture, but you got Havoc. That's the GOAT. A duelist in sheep's clothing. And Vora has to escape, but he's just gonna get pincered. And it's Team Solid that walk away with both pistols here on Ascent.
And he still gets that kill onto Vora towards the end while his teammates crashing in on the last remaining player towards lane. Havoc is locked in right now and does not want to stand down in this series. If anything, also, you're starting to see the come up of DJZine. Good rotates, good reads in the first place, and then also trying to get the lurk over towards that market side. This is looking dangerous now for TSM. An 8-5 scoreline, an anti-eco up for grabs. Shouldn't have a buy out for TSM because we didn't get a plant on their side, so the economy isn't the best. You can definitely see it there.
Yikes. Ooh, nasty. DJZine's winning more of these duels. He's heating up. And if you're a Brazilian fan, you're on the edge of your seat waiting to see how this game is going to conclude. And it's still hard to call either way, but this is the performance we've wanted to see out of Team Solid.
At least in a arena at the CBLOL, probably none of them are at the edge of their seat. They're all standing up right now. A little bit of a spray off the tap of the orb, and Seven's going to pick that up after. So trying to min-max for TSM. Or at least try to get something for their side. Now it's time to try to make it expensive.
One enemy remaining. Spike down A.
Rafa's rich in kills, at least 9-5, and a flawless to bring all these weapons into the bonus. It's a long-term plan for not only just this game, but this series overall. And the pressure is still on for Team Solid.
So you already had the 2-minute halftime as well for both coaches. Veto to talk with Solid and for NBS to talk with TSM here. So I wouldn't necessarily think that you'll try to cook something up right now with the timeout hold on the side of TSM. It's your rifle round against the bonus. You've already shown or seen the hand of how mid control is still a priority for Team Solid in the last few rounds. I thought he had that. I thought he hit that.
Same. It's the power of friendship on Seven's side. Flash, ow, okay. PXS little playmaker over here. Striking while the iron's hot. Able to get Team Solid a chance in this round, maybe.
It's pretty good, though, for Solid. Because so far in the last few rounds, you've seen Havoc play towards the B site. So as PXS goes for that play towards B main, TSM thinks that A site's clear. Only one player on the site. But now, even harder for Havoc, who was there with his teammate to really try to get value on the A side hold. An opener for TSM to convert around.
Incredible round from 7. Picking up both kills, or 2 kills this round. Those reses so impactful. They even gave him the plant too, so orb fights later on. Force Team Solid to not only just go for picks, but hold the space. And oh, we're elevating the corpse. Now that means the door will be closed by ice this time, and Havoc will be funneled right to where TSM are expecting. You can get a good headshot onto GMD. I'm like hard coping right now.
I mean, Havoc could do it. He's been hot so far.
Surely someone peek. Oh, you got like so many people watching him. Woo!
At least has the game sense of where people could be swinging out from, but no, it becomes a good round for TSM, only losing 1 weapon in the process of their buy.
TSM not letting Team Solid run away with too much of a win streak despite bringing so many weapons into that bonus. The lead is only by 3, and I mean, this is the first time ever that Team Solid have been in a lead. So keeping it is a whole different story. And a lot rides on these openers. DJZine has been leading in those first kills in Ascension. So you live and you die by this jet.
Saw that Alvin has the perfect pie so far. The PXS and TSS are also moving down to isolate the link. It was a nice attempt, but it was very risky, especially when you don't have escapes possible from PXS. And now they have to play 1 man down.
It's pretty 50-50 who's coming out ahead in these mechanical wars at such long range. The pressure TSM and Lobby.
You will not kill my allies.
Now that all gets forgiven, TSM back at full force, but you know at least where they still are. DJZine will watch the cross, but no one's watching A.
Thing is, DJZine's just going to re-clear middle. If he continues to walk down, maybe he'll be able to get 1, but that will probably allow TSM to start pushing forward on the A side very quickly.
And pick up the odd, which is expensive. I mean, TSM could afford $1 million if they want, but flank will be sussed out.
Yep, drafted it.
Ooh, okay, good no, good no.
Spike planted.
See what Havoc can do. He's been acting as that second duelist, but now on the Sentinel role is just gonna play safe and allow DJZine to have the timing on the flank. And now TSM are pincered. They'd have to move towards the side room if they want to avoid. Oh, but it's actually walled off by 7, so TSM have trapped themselves in here. And now it's hunting season for DJZine, who's gonna trade the op for a better gun, and he just can't stop winning. TSM just can't peek him. At least Alvin Boy has the right timing, but Alvin Boy clutches for TSM.
There's some miscomms coming out there for Solid. If you look and pay attention to that minimap, while DJZine is just picking TSM limb by limb, picking them apart, Conan was already running back towards the spawn. So it looks like they didn't trust their retake. And then they're like, wait, he's got 3 kills. Let me try to run back. And he breaks that timing. He's not able to move out to trade out the 1v1. He's forced to drop down to make noise and loses that 1v1 towards Hell. Look at him run back up towards that side. And then fully exposed to Alvin Boy, who gets a beautiful clutch right now. No more pie watch for him.
Standing ahead.
TSM are putting TSS into an eco.
That lead is shrinking. At least if all goes according to the script. With Timotino having an op, it's okay, he actually gives it to Alvin Boy, which has been the backup plan. Or maybe plan A. We've seen that on Lotus. Oh, Timotino just dies, runs right into Conan's sightline. Really trusting in that slow orb. Team Solid have a nice angle here. Now it's just a duel. And TSM have to just ignore that. Get the objective done, get the clock on their side.
Having picked up a rifle, though, could get dangerous here. And they wasted enough time for TSM to allow PXS to meet up with Havoc for them to retake.
The Stinger's better than a shotgun.
Save the op.
You have a flash in PXS. I think that'd be the right idea. They're really believing in what PXS could set up, and the smoke doesn't get him a better spot, but Havoc is not trusting this. The flash out for PXS. Havoc goes down. The staggered approach does not work for Team Solid.
I really thought that they were trying to pick up that op and run back as Havoc was already running back towards that B main. Would have been pretty decent too, because you had PXS go from Bucky to pick up the Stinger, and then he plays gun game pretty much, and he could pick up the Phantom and fall back. But the thing that's missing, I guess, towards the end, or the thing that was thought about here on the end for Team Solid, is that they still have a decent buy going to the next round, because it was an eco for them. Digizine's still able to afford an op, but that's now 5 players across the board with only small shields. Headshots across the board with these Phantoms are going to be perfect here for TSM as they boost up to look up on Catwalk.
So that's been an exchange that's happened quite a few rounds in a row. Hasn't dictated the rounds, but minimizes both teams' forces. And TSM trail by 1. There's only one op here, and it's Dijazine, and he's watching this entry, and TSM have to be worried about how they poke this bear.
Watching here. Where TSM is playing a little bit more differently than Solid. You see that they're playing a lot of inserts. They're trying to drop this side. That's perfect.
Ooh, how
Forbid.
does PXS choke that? That seemed doable, but hey, Timotino picks up the slack and works out for TSM nonetheless. They're on the site, not comfortable, especially at 30 HP. You have to hug heaven.
Spike planted.
This Havoc could eliminate the lurk and make it so TSM are really surrounded. Easy pickings. Neural Theft will reveal 7 being in main 2. Where the other 2 are hiding from, and they can just spam through, and Timotino surely dies. The clawed armor can't last this long, can it? GMD pushes back the retake. 7 wins his. And it's Dijazine, what feels like against the world, but decides to gift the round, and TSM will be tying things up 9-9.
Wow, I love the attempt from Solid, though. They smoked towards that right side of main, and so they could paranoia into Wine and then try to flood while also Hunter skewering behind it. So you have support at least from trying to get pings from the other players trying to fight back through the smoke. But somehow, Hunter's Spirit is not connected to that many kills. Look, it goes in between everybody. They get the kill towards that front through the smoke. They get 2 drops right away for the side of TSM, and they could just open up the site and retake it on that side. And it was almost doable with Havoc's kill and the hat to get information on that side, but just unfortunately very difficult to retake, where Dijazine finds no openers to take a pick with the op for them to flood back in. So last time out, right now being called out by Coach Bayo, the best thing they can have right now is to try to get and salvage as many rounds as he could here with this last timeout that he has to force out the last one from TSM. If not, it's the last one of this series here for Solid.
It's 4 unanswered rounds for TSM. It's the last hurrah for Team Solid in this series. This must be so frustrating too, because it feels like a lot of these rounds from Ascent to even Lotus have been decided on 1v1s, 2v1s, like so close to being winnable for Team Solid until TSM just clutch up. There's definitely been improvements on the Team Solid side, but closing rounds out is apparently a whole other skill set.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too as well for teams like TSM, can't remember which match it was exactly, but I remember being on the desk where the desk was mentioning very defender-sided map, and then suddenly it's both teams just having tremendous value on the attack side. One of them could be TSM here because of this Sage that they have, the extra verticality that they have, the sites that they block off when you go for these site hits, very similarly to when you're playing a Deadlock back in a double Senti roll. So you could scale in with a lot more aggression. Slow orbs not allowed for you to flood out. And TSM so far has been very good at closing out these first openers against Solid's positioning.
Team Solid just can't drown these 5 ults. Could be only a handful of rounds left. You gotta stop TSM from heating up. Someone stop Timotino. PXS answers the call. Oh, Dijazine does not connect. You're not gonna get chances like that too often. TSM haven't even used any ults. I mean, maybe you bring Timotino back with a res, but it's so sketchy. You're surrounded. Team Solid like piranhas. And it's settled. between two Cyphers. Alvin Boy yet again. TSM 5 rounds in a row.
What a turnaround at this very moment. The 1v1 of Alvin Boy versus Havoc. Havoc, who's been hot on this map, and Alvin Boy needing so many rounds to start picking it up on his end as well. And even if he gets information off the neural theft, he has to recross towards A main to pick up the spike and wins this duel against the Havoc to ice him, who's currently 19 and 14. And Alvin Boy is having the most impact frags on this map for TSM to regain the lead.
TSM are down 5-9. And look at where we are now. The finish line in sight, a ticket to the grand final and another rematch against Envy. It's all in the cards. Is it in the script? Team Solid want to rewrite that quickly. A tight angle right through the chest of PXS. Timotino does it again with the Outlaw. And Rafa has to keep this door on watch and trust DJZ now in wine. But A won't go by as easy.
Yeah, TSM has control of economy and the scenarios, knowing that Solid doesn't have the best of buys, and the best that they could do is small shields. You see it across the board on your UI, and he opts for the Outlaw and gets value out of it. Attack side with a snipe. Remember back in like 2020, 2021, didn't really see too many offers on the attack side. And now with players like Timotino, like the Jazine, putting so much impact with it.
GMD not gonna be allowed to check heaven. DJZ checks him out of the A site bright and early. TSM now hesitate. Every step feels perilous. Now the ping is allowed to reveal GMD, and he tries to reposition. Bora bails him out. They get the spike down. TSM have 1 round off of time alone. And Team Solid gotta get active. They gotta stop TSM from heating up, and GMD puts them all 6 feet under. You can't let that happen.
Another round where GMD is able to avoid utility and gets a huge multi-frag in the round. Paranoia just whisked by him for the tree. You think the coast is clear, trying to flood back from heaven, and surprise, surprise, a Crouch Phantom just on the jump up mows you all down. No trade, no way to react. And now TSM. There you go. I don't even need to scream anymore. Alvin Boy's gonna do it for me. No need to filter out the F-bombs. TSM at 11.
Team Solid better get good at forgiving and forgetting. They have settled down and they go back to their usual protocols. Trip gets taken care of in mid. Conan with just the Sheriff will have to fend for himself if TSM do cross that threshold, but right now it's a lean towards A.
Oh. And such a broken buy for Solid. Remember, there's no timeouts left for that side, and that is a backbreaker, morale demolisher for Solid, and Bayo cannot talk to his team. You're looking so high towards here, you're still getting pinged out.
Oh, Rafa! Oh my god, how did he get out? He did not get out. Spoiler alert, he did not get out. TSM.
And that's the thing. They just, I think it's over at this point, unless it goes on to the next round and you're able to have a highlight reel for the performances of Solid. The best thing you have right now is to play for overtime.
30 seconds left.
Unless they're walking right into the only rifle for Solid for this round.
Only so many bullets and all just funnels into the Bucky. Wait a minute. DJZ tries to handle what's thrown at him. Got you. But he only gets the first base, and it's 12 seconds.
10
and it's
seconds
Havoc has an opportunity. Oh, he's so clean with these shots. GMD commits to the plant. Now to pick his battles carefully, and which side? Now Havoc bails out to reunite with PXS, who picks up the Vandal. May want to give this to Havoc. He does. More health. Some time to play with. The double up. They go for the guaranteed win here for Team Solid.
The ultra-wide swing from Alvin Boyd in the first place to trade off on DJZ was perfect. But then after that, it comes down to another hero play. Havoc getting the camera with, what, 15 seconds left on the clock. gets the ping onto not the planner, but at least is able to get the free kill onto that to just set the paranoia onto GMD on that 1 versus 2. Forces his hand as he gets knifed out by PXS's knife right here, who has another important kill on the rotate with only classic. That is now TSS with a thrifty that shouldn't have gone their way. There's a chance now for Peo to maybe talk to his team if TSS now with the economy could muster up this round.
I mean, TSM got to have at least a 90% win rate when it comes to offensive rounds across all 3 maps. It is so hard to put a stop to this avalanche and to this flood. Through cages, through slows, Alvin Boy and Vora win theirs, and Team Solid. They're so close, and PXS finds this moment to shine. Y'all resurrect.
I know
TSM
exactly when.
With the hat.
Their numbers bloom, and the neural theft is thrown into the mix from Alvin Boy. So much of a disadvantage for Rafa and Dijazine to play with, and the spikes planted in the corner. So Team Solid be forced to fight, and look at this post plant setup. Everything being watched. A swing ready from Vora, and another at the pack, and the pings. Rafa and Dijazine. They forced to save. I mean, they're just gonna head elsewhere.
Dijazine's mad. I mean, he maybe wants to go for his Blade Storm for the next round. Why not? But you got to play for OT at this point. And what a call out from Vora for them to just go so quickly into a B-side hit, despite getting thriftied on that previous round. Now, a pile driver to the momentum that was just built up by Team Solid on that previous round.
Backside.
Thankfully, they have 2 more rifles to work with, but yeah, you're self-boosting, what, 2 players potentially to look up on that side and to get tremendous value out of that for the execution for TSM. No timeouts again to work for Team Solid, so it has to come down for the calls of Rafa. Blade Storm dropping his rifle for a teammate is Dijazine. So they have at least some sort of a fight facing elimination against TSM.
Havoc would have liked to farm for the orb. I mean, also he gets tagged by Shockbolt, something, and already something against them, because he's one away from the neural theft is what I'm trying to say, but it's been pretty flip-flop whether Conan and Havoc can withstand against TSM's flood in on B.
Even for TSM, they're so close to tasting victory, but maybe that is getting to them. They're working the map so slowly so far. Haven't broken a single piece of utility yet. And for TSS, they're forcing the drone at the minute mark, and it gets information on 2 players.
Especially that catwalk push.
Exactly. I think it might be like a slow scale backup on Cat. We'll have to break this trip up on middle, and GMD is going to try to see if anybody's going to swing out after this.
Maybe PXS would want to come out here, but he doesn't have a flash, actually. It'd be just Rafa with the paranoia.
It could potentially Hunter's Fury tree to just create that
30
space
seconds left.
for TSM to flood into.
Uh-oh, Rafa. He's not in a tradable position. He's been smoked off from PXS. That was a duo that were working together at one point, and they got disjointed. Dijazine at least anchors one part of the A site. TSM at 12 seconds. They're rotating?
10 seconds left.
You're saving it. You got to save. GMD was trying to TP towards that site, but he couldn't TP alone because they don't have any information on B. So you had to scale up, make sure that you have that spot. But if anything, it comes down to a beautiful timing off the null command of PXS up on tree. It cancels out a dart onto site. It cancels out a Hunter's Fury. It forces Vora to try to help his teammate in the chaos, and for Dijazine to pick up a kill right there. This is going to be decided in regulation, and dude, heaven prayers are answered. The timeout's being called by MBS to try to close out this series, and that gives a chance now for Peo to talk to his team.
And the pressure on the stage, I can't even imagine it. for these star players on Team Solid to keep delivering consistently round after round and in a best of 5. They're going for hours. And you were kind of wondering where TSM going to be able to cross that finish line. Did they count their chickens before they hatch, as the saying goes? And you don't want to get scrambled up in these miscoms, and gotta always be aware of the clock. Although it feels like TSM dictate everything in this game and in this series, can't let mistakes like that happen.
Exactly. Can't cosplay Fnatic at home or Na'Vi at home from other games. NBS now talking to the team to try to have something a little bit more solidified. Seeing that the last round, there was no aggression coming out from Solid. Again, another one of those halves where the op wasn't always consistently in the hands of the Drazine, so there might not be as aggressive on this 1-3-1 that they did at the earlier on this half. So there is mid open for them to maybe take advantage of to really try to get some value off these inserts. And it starts off with Vora. He's going to play towards this A side. They're throwing this smoke. There's no recon to come out yet though either, so you're not really forcing a hand of players on that side. It's a shark dart that he actually uses towards A main. So that keeps them at bay, forces TSS to play a 2-1-2, but look how turtled up they are inside the site. If TSM is able to spread out a little bit more and try to work that map, they might be able to catch some players off guard, but instead, it'll have to be a TP Hunter's Fury for an entry into the B site.
Conan, bow at the ready, finger on the trigger. Where TSM are corralled, it's gonna be scary, it's gonna be deadly, but it's actually first for VALORANT. He gets stripped out by Conan's Hunter's Fury. And TSM, they ignore and they overcome for maybe one final time. The last round of regulation, the plant goes down. Team Solid, they've had difficulties overtaking. At this very point, it's felt impossible once TSM have bunkered up. And Rafa, it all comes down to him on this paranoia, which route he chooses, but be aware of GMD. He can pop out and have a lot to say. Now Alvin takes damage. GMD, he wins. And Team Solid gets split apart. For the first time in TSM's history, they go to the grand final of Ascension.
Happy all around for TSM, but unfortunately, very sad for Solid. A team that was built just as a super team in Challengers of Brazil to ascend back into the VCTs. Remember, 5 of these players have all tasted the big stage before in the past, before getting dropped mid-season. And you could see how much that meant for Drazine. For him to have been lost his position in the past over with Furia, coming back with Loud, putting up big numbers, and still unfortunately not being able to stay in the scene at the VCTs, had a chance to potentially come back with this team within Ascension. But unfortunately, their run ends here, allowing TSM to move over to a North American Grand Finals to face off against Envy. And for a team also that has had players that has been grinding for the longest time in Tier 2, being GMD, being 7. And they have a chance to take the revenge against Envy.
And no one would have thought that this would be a sweep. We thought we were all in here for hours and hours and games of games. I thought this was going to go the distance. And Team Solid found the right form near the end, almost forcing overtime. But you could not break apart TSM's offense. A big round of applause for Team Solid and how well they've represented Brazil. Like, I'm gonna cry. I'm a sympathy cry, so I gotta look away for a second. But, man, in front of the home crowd, their partners, their family, this was the team to fear in the bracket. If anyone was gonna take down North America, it was these guys. From the LCQ to here, talk about resilience, hard work, something to prove. But TSM had a lot to prove as well. And it's that they're the better team and they want their revenge against Envy. And that'll be their next goal.
Yeah, it can't stop here for TSM. Remember, last year they did step on the stage, but they bombed out in the group stages, going, I think, 0-3. A lot of these games going to overtime where they potentially could have had it, but they didn't. Now they finally have a chance to make it now to the grand finals, to almost ascend here, but it's against a team Envy that's very difficult, a team that knows their play style, a team that they played against each other for the whole year, probably like their 7th time that they're meeting against this year. And hopefully it's the lucky number 7 for the side of TSM, but we'll have to figure out what's going to happen tomorrow in that game.
Yeah, and Seven said that Envy had their number, but we'll see. It's so hard to beat Envy multiple times, and really only TSM have been able to do that. Tomorrow's going to be a big day, but also we got a big interview around the corner. Let's go check in with the desk.
Thank you so much, guys. An absolute heartbreaker for Brazil, but Team Solid, they should be very proud of what they came out here and did. Being able to see these players on the stage and Dan, the heights they were able to reach, even if this Ascension run wasn't quite for them, it's definitely going to be a team that we got to see that talent shine through. We got to see what they are capable of, and players that I'm sure we'll get to see again very, very soon. But TSM, I mean, on the day they just came out of here, they wanted that grand finals, and they're going to earn it with that 3-0.
It's insane, and it is also the way that this is exactly what we were talking about when it comes to TSM. Sometimes they don't have the strongest start for a few of these maps, especially with the way that first half ended, where it seemed like Team Solid finally had control of the series, but they're so good at coming back. They're so good at finding answers going into that second half. Once they lose that second pistol, and it almost seems like we're going to a 4th map, they win 6 rounds in a row. They find the openings against ZB Sin. They find some timings like as well during on Catwalk. Just everything was going well for them, even in the way that they close it out to open up the Hunter's Fury. It is incredible what this TSM team is able to do, not only in the set plays that they have, but also in the finding answers when things start to go wrong. And today was a perfect example of that.
That is for certain. I think that when you're looking at that attacking side for TSM, it's kind of how we expected that map to end, right? We knew that they've had such great reads on how to play Ascent. A lot of those mid cutoffs, thanks to the walls that you see from Seven cutting off those rotations, making it so much more difficult to re-clear into those retakes there for Team Solid when they do go for those B splits. But honestly, for me, I just am really glad that even though heartbreak on the side of Team Solid, that this final map was so close and right down to the wire. It felt like either of these teams could have taken Ascent. There was a world where we could have headed over to Haven in the 4th map of this series. And it feels good, I think, in a way, as bittersweet as it is, because of how dominant TSM looked on those first 2 maps, right? We really wanted to see these players on Team Solid heat up. There were those hero moments, absolutely, both from DGZ and Havoc, having some like absolutely insane multi-kills at times too.
We've had 3 Ascension Americas in the history of Valorant, and now it is the 2nd time that we're going to have a North America versus North America grand final with TSM and Envy that was waiting, and I feel like Envy just knew that this was bound to happen. I feel like TSM, yes, even more than wanting to move to the grand finals, they really wanted that rematch, because what happened yesterday is not really a showcase of the way that they've been able to take down Envy in the past. So for TSM, I know that this means a lot. It means even more when you know that a map is closed, when you know that you didn't win the pistols, when you know that you're a few rounds behind and you're able to make it a comeback and close it in 3-0 fashion.
100%. And so many of those heroics too coming down to GMG. He had incredible impact frags throughout this map, and I still call back to that round 20 where you see him going for that jump up, taking that risk that TSM needed, and getting that 3K on the players walking out of Heaven here on A. You could feel how badly he wanted this after, falling in that group stage, how much it means even more to both GMZ in 7 to get this win and take it to the grand final.
Such a great performance, and being back on the stage but finding themselves in the finals this time. I know that core talent of TSM has got to be thrilled. And speaking of that core talent, we have GMD on the line now to chat a little bit more in our interview. First off, as we send off over to that magic interview, there we go, perfect. GMD 3-0 victory. TSM, You were in the grand finals, the stage you were on before, such a different dog. Like, how are you feeling right now?
Feels good. You know, we worked hard the whole year for this, and we get to rematch Envy again. So, I mean, I'm very happy with the guys. Everyone played amazing. Everyone steps up when it's needed, and that's why we're here.
I want to talk about this lower finals because obviously this is now elimination. It was do or die. And this was up against a team that you hadn't yet got to face. So I want to know then expectations heading into today's match in comparison to how it played out, especially that turnaround on Ascent.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a team that's really skilled. We saw it against Winthrop. It's definitely something that you don't know until you face them, but we definitely did not underestimate them by any means. They have a lot of good players, as I said. And Ascent, I mean, we go round by round. You know, you can't really go too much in the future in these games. We know we have a good TSS Ascent. We know we have a good Ascent. So if we stick to things that we know worked, and we knew we were going to make a comeback for sure.
Now, as you said, it's a rematch up against Envy in the grand finals. You have faced them 4 times since August. You've beaten them twice. They've beaten you twice. How are you feeling with the winner going to VCT Americas in this best of 5 finals?
I mean, it's amazing. It doesn't get any better than this. You know, a 2-2 match to finalize this little loop that we had. I mean, yeah. I mean, I have good friends. I have good friends on the NV roster. You know, it's gonna be crushing either way. But yeah, I mean, we're here to take it all, and I think with this team we can do it.
Last but not least, and I think the most important question of all, Seven's got all of you guys on the nose strips now. I just like, is this the method? Like, come on.
Well, I brought them, first of all, I brought them first, I bought them first, but I didn't like them as much, and I was not on the wave, and then you want to start going crazy with them. I was like, I gotta hop in, you know, I gotta get some team chemistry there, and if I can get a 1% advantage, I'll take it.
I mean, it's working out. I'm expecting the whole team with nose strips tomorrow, but GMD, congratulations on the series. Go rest up. It's going to be a great day tomorrow.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, hey, the nose strips, they're working, Ash, but it's going to be a TSM versus Envy grand finals. Oh, I'm excited.
So am I. I mean, I feel like it was just a couple days ago that Dan was talking about it on the desk. She was like, it's written in the stars. We're getting the NA grand finals happening once again. And it's just so crazy that it's going to be between 2 teams where they're going to be heading into their 6th match up against each other throughout 2025. And heading into like another best of 5, where the last time we saw that between Envy and TSM, it was TSM winning the grand finals of stage 3, and now trying to get their revenge from being knocked out of that upper bracket final there by Envy.
I mean, going into this, there was a lot of expectations on both Envy and TSM going into this, 2 of the favorites from the get-go, and to see them in here in the grand finals, I don't think there's going to be the biggest surprise to a lot of people out there. And again, and looking at this, it has been a whole year built up here on the NA broadcast. We've watched these teams fight out. We've seen the ups and downs of TSM. We've gotten to see the evolution of Envy. It's going to be a spectacular grand finals tomorrow.
I am so excited for the grand final tomorrow. We think about an Envy that even if they started as the favorites going into the stage 1, they were not able to do so much in playoffs. Then they started getting better and better, getting more experience, and now they're here in the grand final, especially after that win that they got against TSM yesterday. And TSM going with different changes, not really knowing how it was going to turn out, and with that core of GND and 7 just making it to the grand final. Like GNB said, it's going to be crushing no matter who's going to lose, but I just think it's just the best way to end the year to find out who's going to ascend.
As you said, to end the year as well, tomorrow is going to be the final day here in Challengers in Ascension to find out which team is going to make their way to VCT Americas. One you're not going to want to miss. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We will see you back here tomorrow for the grand finals of VCT Ascension Americas. Take care.
Attackers win. 30 seconds.
Been enough in this series so far and in this map. TSS will try and brawl with an outlaw. He'll try and make the change his gun here. No. There's a high low and very point. It's nothing possible once TSM have bunkered up. And Rafa, it all comes down to him on this paranoia. Which route he chooses, but be aware of GMD. He can pop out and have a lot to say. Nalvin takes damage. GMD, he wins.